WFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Jake Cronenworth.
And the Padres in front. It's 5-3.
The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan, and Odyssey Sports Station. This program is sponsored and produced by Let's Talk Hookup. Opinions and offers expressed during this program are not those of Odyssey or 97.3 The Fan. Sometimes they tell some pretty hefty fish stories. We don't know if they're true or not.
And now, it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, Corey Sandin, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Rock Cod Rick Maxa. We're in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here right next to very unbusy San Diego landings in Point Loma. And we have a couple of the great captains right here from San Diego. We have Captain Matt Bralla and Gavin Harbour from Captain's Concepts. Of course, Matt runs a San Diego. Of course, Gavin runs a Pacific Queen, but their other business is Captain's Concepts, and we're going to talk all about that and more. You stay tuned. This is Southern California's sport fishing voice. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app and 97.3 The Fan.
Everyone has their go-to fishing spot. My spot is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. Rock Cod Rick here to say if you're looking for the ultimate Alaska experience and the best value in Alaska, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodation, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience. We've literally sent hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear. Literally all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me, book your trip to Kingfisher Charters and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136 or check kingfishercharters.com.
Hey, San Diego, the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event is going on now at your San Diego County Ford dealers. The biggest deals of the year to finish 2024, featuring America's best-selling truck, Ford F-Series, leading for 47 straight years. Or check out the full lineup of versatile Ford SUVs, including Bronco or Bronco Sport. Don't wait. Come take a test drive today. Get holiday ready only at your local San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up. Inside information is everything when it comes to catching fish in Southern California. You need a code group to connect with what's happening on the water. FishDope.com is your code group. Inside information available at your fingertips 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. FishDope.com really does help you catch more fish and burn less fuel. FishDope.com is the only fish finding service with a spotter plane, along with a crew of top anglers on the water almost every day that report actual locations and catches. They become your code group. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Quintin, 365 days a year. FishDope.com has online planning tools, temperature and chlorophyll charts, hot bite icons, and more. Take it from me, if you don't have FishDope.com, you're not part of the in-the-know crowd. Membership is affordable and good for an entire year. Plus, use the special code and save $30 on a new FishDope.com membership. Check it out today. FishDope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup.
So every time, well, normally when like we talked about it yesterday, we got new little program here, and I'm sitting in the normal Pete spot. Normally I would be sitting over on the other side there.
And when I'm in the Pete spot, I usually bring us back from break, and I'm sitting here. We come back, and I'm just looking at him like, "Are you gonna say something?" Like, "Oh, wait, that's me. I'm supposed to be doing that." My bad. Well, welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Doing training on the new equipment with
a few more buttons, a few more lights over here.
We're getting it down. We
Yeah,
have
all
Jeff
good.
in the 97.3 The Fan studios watching out for us today.
Being
which
very
is
well
great.
taken care of.
Yeah,
all good.
Sure.
Well, speaking of that, certainly a very fun morning this morning, and like you said, having the boys from Captain Concepts in here, like the phones are already showing it, the texts are already rolling through. Today's going to be a very, very fun show.
Yeah, for sure. And good morning, Gavin. Good morning, Matt.
Morning.
So, boys.
Great to have you. And what's happening at on the water? You guys are running boats. What's going on?
What's
Turning
that?
wrenches? Like,
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
that time of year where we're all tied up. Or at least Matt and I's kind of boats were all tied up. So we're Matt just finished
Yeah,
up.
we were
running
just
some
doing some
trips.
local trips.
Yeah.
We're trying to get out a little bit of low yellowtail for a bit, but starting the boat work season
Yeah.
tomorrow.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay, it's
yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And how long will that be, Matt, for San Diego?
We're shooting for trying to get back online on March.
In March. Okay,
March,
so
yeah.
it's a big project this year.
No, we're taking it light after last year's big project. Just getting minor maintenance stuff, getting ready to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then you'll start with Coronado Islands, that kind of stuff.
Yep. Coronado Islands, hopefully some springtime yellowtail. We're looking
Yeah.
forward to that. Yo-yo fishing. That's usually a good way to start off the season.
Yeah. So this year, tons of anchovy around, huh?
I felt like there was less than the
Less,
last few
huh?
years. Yeah.
Oh.
At least on the offshore grounds, there was a lot more bait. I felt like the last.
I mean, right
few-
now or
Well,
in
they
the
just threw
springtime?
the season. Yeah.
Oh, definitely less. It seems
Yeah,
like.
definitely less. There was
yeah.
the last few years you'd be driving for miles and miles through it, and we never really saw that much of that this year.
Interesting.
Yeah, but there was still plenty of bait.
Yeah.
Definitely areas of it.
Do you think, Gavin, that was why we had to run so far for the bluefin this year? Is just because there was just less bait inside?
No, I think like the inside water, there was no. It's not like the water on the inside was bad, but there was no like structure. It was just like super generic water, like no reason. There wasn't any water edges or water structure to kind of keep the fish in a certain spot. It seemed like to me for the
Yeah,
local.
they're spread out. They were
Yeah.
all spread out. Only real consistent thing was like those tuna pens. That was since the water was so generic, the only thing they could relate to
That was like the
tuna
only
pens.
only real structure. But so I think that made, every time we would fish or we would decide like, hey, maybe we should go looking around somewhere else. You'd look at a water picture for down the beach or down in Mexico, and it was just like the most generic water ever. Nothing where as a captain you could look at and be like, oh man, we should start looking here. This looks like a good area.
So this is some of the stuff you teach on Captain's Concepts, right? The water edge ideas, right?
We talk about that a little bit. Mostly what we talk about is the actual like angler rod in your hand style fishing, like what tackle we like to use and like how we fish as just like an angler on the boat. We talk a little bit about that, but mostly what our guys are interested in is what we're using, how we're using it, and then when we're coming up to a stop, based on what everything's looking like what rod should you grab or what technique should you use based upon like how the fish are acting. So it's mostly like rod in hand style fishing is what we talk about.
One of the things that I always admire is like how frequently you guys put out your content, and it just seems like whenever anything's trending, changing, whatever, a video pops up like the next day. And if you were catching them one way, for a little bit, and then that afternoon, whatever, this little change happened, boom, there's a video on it the next day, and like the guys that are subscribed to that are on the spot, and they're already aware that it's been yo-yo jig fishing now instead of fly line bait, how it was for the 2 weeks previous to that.
Yeah, if you ever want to be on the leading edge of a trend, like especially with the way tackle is, like those tungsten jigs, trying to buy those and stuff like that, getting ahead on buying tackle before it gets scarce. Captain's Concepts is a huge thing, but just learning how to properly do a new technique or being on the cutting edge of it is what we try to put out there.
Yeah, like I would say like one of the most important things is like, you could ask anyone like, what's the best lure to use? And it's like, well, there's 100 different types of lures to use, but we kind of teach people like based on the conditions, how the fish are acting, like, oh man, I remember I saw this video Matt was talking about, it was super windy, the fish were acting like this, and he was using this and he was fishing it that way. Like, I think that's one of the things that's most important.
I like too the amount of like niche things that you guys add to it too. Like it might be this was the lure that Matt was fishing, but also this is the way he liked to modify it, and he liked to put this hook on it, and he put this hook because it makes the lure sink this way, and we get a little bit better. Like it just gives you whatever. that 10% might not be the difference, every time, but you start adding all those little things together and it becomes the difference.
Yeah, we strive for when it's like tough, those little details
Totally.
matter.
That's
and
what I'm trying to say.
Yep,
Perfect.
exactly. Yeah, when it's tough, every little detail that can get you the bite or land the fish is huge.
Every year there seems to be something different that happens. This year the tungsten jig was the deal, right? So how'd that all come into play, and you guys were on the forefront of that, right?
Yeah, we actually looked back. Matt started talking about the tungsten lures. I think it was about a full year
Exactly.
Yep. Before, kind of everyone,
It became the thing.
before it became the thing, which was probably around June this year, I think was probably. And, everyone was scrambling to get tungsten lures that hadn't heard about them. But like our subscribers, our guys that are on Captain's Concepts, like, I mean, they already had a pile of them in a tackle box from a year before when Matt started talking about them. So they, while guys were scrambling and, buying them for double price on eBay or whatever, like our guys, they already had them rigged up and they were fishing them long before, most people were even thinking about it.
That's not an exaggeration either. Gavin and I literally looked that up at the store.
A full year.
We were talking about how crazy it was and how hard they were to get. And we looked all the way back to the first video, and it was almost a year to the date of like when the beginning of the madness happened. That video had been out for 1 year already.
Wow. And what's the deal on the tungsten jig? Kind of explain that to those that may have not been on that program or watching Captain's Concepts.
So the big thing with tungsten, it's for its size, it's like twice as dense as lead or something. So getting a small compact lure to sink as fast as that is nearly impossible unless you have that tungsten. Just a small compact jig was like the name of the game this year, whether you're daytime or nighttime fishing. And when we started using it, it was kind of a concept where the Eddie bomb thing, when you're fishing in nighttime, you want to get down quick and get down fast. Well, me trying to fish a sinker in the daytime just doesn't really feel all that fishy. So we found those tungsten jigs, and we noticed that they were sinking really fast, just like a sinker would. And we started using it in the same kind of situations that the people were using the Eddie bombs, and we started getting bites right away. They sink really fast. They flutter pretty good. They just look way fishier than a sinker.
You can at least get behind it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no doubt like the success of the Eddie Bomb Midnight Rider style jig. Like there's no denying how well they work, but man, it's just hard to.
It's hard to fish it when the sun is up.
Yeah, definitely.
Hard to look at that thing and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to catch one on this.
Yeah. So you guys have basically you're fishing similar but different because you're fishing daytime.
That's what's so cool. Yeah.
And you're fishing day and night. So when you're doing this on Captain's Concepts, are you doing two different types of videos for different techniques, or do they mold together?
It's just different, like we do a lot of the times Matt and I are fishing side by side, like during the daytime or whatever, we're doing the same thing. But a lot of times like this year, I mean, I hardly saw the San Diego this year, so he's fishing a whole nother area during the day, whole different group of fish, whole different size fish. He might be fishing yellowtail and bluefin at the Coronado Islands, and we're out at Cortez, fishing bluefin and yellowtail, but it's completely different how we're fishing. Yeah. But when it kind of goes together is he starts fishing those tungsten lures. So then I start using them. I'm like, oh man, these might work at night. And I specifically remember the first time that I really was like, man, we really need to fish these tungsten lures. We had a school, it was at night, middle of the night. We had a school of big ones, like 100 to 200 pounders on us. And we caught a few right away. But the school stuck with the boat. And I had a group, some of my best fishing charter, the best fishermen there are that come on my boat were on the boat. We couldn't hook them anymore, and they're still around us. I was like, man, what's going on? We started tying on those tungsten lures, and we just started getting them immediately.
Why?
Immediately.
Why do you think they're eating that and not other stuff?
I think they just, at times, the fish are keyed into a really small profile lure. Gotcha. And, like Matt was saying, it's a lot more dense. So, like, if you picture the size of like a 80-gram Colt Sniper, that size lure, if you take that size lure in tungsten, it's probably 180 grams.
Right.
So if you at nighttime, a lot of times you need to get your lure down to 300 feet. Well, if there's a little bit of breeze, trying to get an 80-gram lure, on 200-pound line down to 300 feet, like it's not going to happen.
A mile behind the boat.
Yeah, you're never going to get down to the fish. So you could still fish that heavy line and have a small profile lure and get to that depth. And it's like, I had a guy who's like, man, these lures are kind of expensive, blah, blah, blah. But then in that one stop, I remember he caught 3 over 100 pounds on that lure. And it's like, man, at that point, who cares what it costs? You already caught
5 of them.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter anymore, and it made the difference between that stop. I think, I know we caught around 25 fish, those big ones, 100+ pounders. And I think I bet you 18 of them were on those tungsten
On the
lures.
tungsten
Yeah.
jigs.
That
Amazing.
story, I think, is like that's Captain's Concepts. Like that's the reason
Yeah.
to get the subscription. You're like, how many times did that scenario play out?
Well, that's what was nice is that particular group comes on my boat like 10 times a year. So they're and a lot of them are on Captain's Concept. So a lot of them had those tungsten lures in their bag. They may never have even used them, but
Yeah.
they saw a video at some point from Matt or myself, and they bought them. And then I'm coming on the PA like, grab all your tungsten lures. And I would say like on a typical charter, if people that were not signed up to Captain's Concept, like they wouldn't, there may have been
Like,
two people.
what?
Yeah, there may have been 2 people on the boat that had those lures, but I was fortunate to where like 80% of the people on the boat had them, and it was like a wild difference.
It's crazy.
Jeez. And how do you rig them? I mean, it's small lure. Do you still rig them with heavy line?
Yeah, so when I'm fishing them, Matt and I do. Well, when I fish them during the day, it's different. But I'll speak for nighttime fishing. We still fish heavy line. I'll fish like 130-pound fluorocarbon, and then 2 assist hooks on the bottom. But we
2
still
assist
fish like 100. At least we can still fish 130-pound at nighttime, no problem with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then daytime, Matt?
I fish it on 80 to 100 pound. I really
Wow,
like
daytime.
Sunline makes 90 pound. And I really like that 90 pound. Something about the 90 pound for that specific lure works excellent. But yeah, heavy line.
Straight tie. And same 2 assist hooks on the bottom?
Yes, that's how I've been fishing it. I think I'm going to try messing because guys have had some issues with those tungsten jigs with because the tungsten has to be so hot they're not truly through wired, a lot of them. Guys have had some issues with hooks pulling out. So I think if you're worried about that, I've never had an issue with it. We've caught 200 pounders on my tungsten jigs and never had to rip out. But if you're worried about that, I'd say have your assist hooks at the nose of the bait. Okay. Yeah.
I shouldn't comment because I don't know, but talking to some of the manufacturer we bought them from, they say the issue is tungsten needs to get so hot that it can melt it
melts the
not
through
necessarily
wire.
melt, it can compromise the wire that's running through. Maybe sometimes it's fine, maybe sometimes it's compromised to the point of potential failure. Likely not going to be on the first one, but maybe who knows what the scenario is. But that's that's one of the things that they've always warned us on, that like that potential can happen.
Does it vary with manufacturer?
I'm sure. Again, I'm
not.
not the I don't want to speak to something I don't know about, but
Yeah.
I would sure think so. I'm sure everybody's got their own process.
I've seen a lot of fish caught on it. We've never lost one that I know of to one pulling, but I've seen like a fish hit the deck and the fish starts flopping and it hits the deck, and then I see that it's unfortunate because your lure just broke, but I haven't seen it. I haven't seen us lose a fish. Yeah, you lose an expensive lure, but I haven't seen us lose a fish because of it yet.
Gotcha. So this year, 2025, probably going to be a different year. Water conditions are pretty different, right?
It's if I knew the answer to that question.
Yeah, I know.
But one thing that I like about this year that was different from last year, it seemed like last year the bluefin, instead of going to the south like they normally do, down towards Cedros and whatnot, they went like up to the north. And it seemed like we caught our fish later last year. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it seems like this year a lot of that fish went back down to the south, which is consistent with the last previous 4 or 5 years where we've caught a lot of fish early in the season, April, March, April. So we're hoping for that, and still those big yellowfin are around, which is
that's
if we can get some of that, that would be
incredible.
That would be insane. I know we got those at the very last part of the season. I wish we would have had that a little bit longer.
That fish could have come another 100 miles closer to home and a month earlier. It would have been all.
Yeah,
that would
I was
have been
looking at
all
my chops.
time.
I was hoping to be local.
God.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, you were on that though, right?
Yeah, we got in on it for the last 2 weeks of our season, and it was still
it was like a 2-day trip minimum.
There was a little period we get on a 2-day, but a lot of it was like a lot of boats towards the end were doing 3-day trips, and you're only fishing for like a few hours on a 3-day trip, but that's all you needed,
It was funny because I usually get to the tackle store about 8 o'clock. That's when Rick gets there, is 8 o'clock. By 8 a.m., I would look the day before like, oh, we should have a relatively busy morning. There's three 3-days going, and I'd show up to work and there's nothing going on. Like, what's happening? Like, oh no, everybody's gone. I mean, by 8 a.m., all the boats are already loaded and off the dock and gone. Like, it was early departures trying to sneak. If you could sneak off the dock 2 hours early, it like literally equated to 2 hours of fishing time. Like, and the pace of fishing was so good. Like, that was a huge difference.
That was enough.
It was wild.
Yeah. So, and then on the San Diego, Matt, your fishing success last year was a lot of local stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean we're always local. So, but the islands was
a year for the islands.
Yeah, I felt like we missed the best part of it, but we still had plenty of good fishing. Though what really was interesting this past season was all the bluefin that was there. They were super hard to catch, but there was more bluefin. Like, I haven't been driving as long as Ryan has, but both of us have said that it's the most bluefin we've seen there. And there was times where it was like offshore flat spots in the middle grounds. Like, what is going on here? And
It's cool.
you can't catch them. We couldn't catch them then, but eventually we were able to pick at them, and it was pretty fun.
What was the key? What did you show people on Captain's Concepts how to catch those because that bluefin was not easy to catch.
They were super
You
hard
had to have
catch.
the technique.
Yeah. So for us, it was not dropping down in line size, sticking with your 30-pound, just because, man, they were mean. Once you did hook them, they were by far the meanest bluefin we've ever.
And they weren't 15-pounders either.
They weren't.
No, they're
15
bigger than
They were bigger.
bluefin at the islands the
Yeah.
last few years. You know,
I'd say 25 to 50 pounders for the most part, and there was some like 80 pounders jumping around. But I've never seen bluefin take so much line as far as like a 30-pound fish. You'd see them run and spool people on it like a Trinidad 16. It's like, what? That's not cool.
Yeah.
And then there was just all the obstacles, lobster gear or any kind of commercial gear, other boats, skiffs, sea lions were a big one.
Yeah.
Always at the islands, but that bluefin was super interesting and super cool to be fishing for.
Fun.
Yeah.
And the Grady Yellowtail too you were catching.
Yeah, the yellowtail was awesome. Yeah, there was some times where there were some big ones around, 30 pounders.
Yeah.
But that just consistent anchor fishing was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, as you can hear, we have a great show lined up for today with these two guys.
Yeah, so stoked always, and just lots to talk about and lots coming up with Captain's Concepts and all the great fishing. If you want to join us this morning, man, we want to hear from you. It's going to be a great time and clearly a very busy morning having Gavin and Matt in here. If you want to join us this morning, best way to do it is to give us a call at 833-288-0973. Again, a new phone number. We're so stoked to be back on the Fan here in San Diego, and if you want to join us, 833-288-0973 is how you do it. And boy, we're having a great time. In addition to that, you can text the show. Texting the show has been super popular here. Every text only comes through the Let's Talk Hookup app. If you don't have the app already, you really need to. It's the easiest way to listen to Let's Talk Hookup. You can catch all the archive shows. You can listen whenever you want, and it's your only opportunity to text in your questions to Gavin and Matt this morning. The way you do that, fire off the Let's Talk Hookup app. One of the first tabs you'll see is to text the show. Type in your question and make sure that you include your contact info when you do, because it's the only way you're going to be eligible for that killer prize. What a prize we're giving away today. One lucky caller or texter, as always decided by the coin flip at the end of the show, is going to win a full-day trip on board the San Diego and a $100 gift certificate to Seawald Photo Gallery, where you can choose from over 120 from all over the world, personally signed and titled by Michael Seawald. It's a really, really cool gift for somebody. Check seawald.com for more of those amazing images. And what a rad prize that's going to be for one of our lucky caller
go
texts
fishing
today
with
at the end of the
Matt
show.
and Captain Ryan, and get that beautiful photography for you all.
Yeah, no doubt about it. As you can hear, we got a great show coming for you. Again, give us a call, 833-288-0973, or keep those texts rolling through in the Let's Talk Hookup app. And when we come back, we got more of your phone calls. We're going to be starting it off. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup, Southern California's sport fishing voice, on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube and Facebook Live, and 97.3 The Fan.
Gas prices are going up, up, up. So now more than ever, you need Summit Gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena. Pull up to the newly expanded Summit Gasoline and get low gas and diesel prices for your car, truck, and boat. They can now accommodate 24 cars and trucks to fuel at the same time, plus 12 diesel boats, plus 100 pounds of free ice with a minimum 35-gallon fill-up. Easy in and out, too. Step into the Summit Bistro and enjoy what Martha and her crew have for you on things you can use. Fresh-made burritos, sandwiches, salads, along with beer, beverages, and of course, always free ice. So many Let's Talk Hookup listeners have taken advantage of Summit Gasoline's low prices, great service, and free ice. They have become the largest seller of fresh gourmet ice in Southern California. Summit also sells frozen bait and fishing licenses 24 hours a day. Summit Gasoline, low prices, friendly staff, free ice, and easy in and out with your boat and trailer at the San Diego Sports Arena.
Captain Jamie Tennis from Season Sport Fishing here. For the past few seasons, a dart-styled metal jig has come into play in a big way for tuna offshore or even rockfish down deep. AFCO's crossbreed jig has quickly become the go-to for many since it came onto the market. AFCO's crossbreed jig is good to go right out of the package with a 4X treble hook, heavy-duty split rings, West Coast colors, and sizes 60 gram to 120 gram. Pick one up today at your local tackle store or learn more on AFCO.com.
A top fleet and superb fishing is what Seaforth Sport Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, it's no wonder Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limit, El Gato Dos, Pride, Tribute Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea-Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or regular open party schedule, check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
This year, make reliable boating your resolution and back it with exhilarating deals with a new Yamaha outboard during Yamaha's New Year, New Reliability sales event. From now until March 31st, 2025, purchase a new eligible Yamaha 450 to 30 horsepower outboard and get up to 7 years of coverage protection. Looking to hit the water with lower horsepower? There's a deal for you too. Purchase a new Yamaha 25 to 2.5 horsepower outboard and receive up to $200 in dealer credit toward the purchase of additional goods and services. Don't miss this limited time offer. Visit your local Yamaha dealer today. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Offer ends March 31st, 2025, subject to change. Other restrictions and conditions apply. Select models exclude 24-month Yamaha extended service added to a 36 or 60-month factory limited warranty. Choice offered to Florida residents is a 24-month Yamaha limited warranty. See authorized participating Yamaha outboard dealer for details. Cannot be used with any other Yamaha offer.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning, and boy, lots of great info going on. I every time we have these boys on here, I can't think about the value that is worth. Like just take those few examples that we talked about right there and equate it to, none of us get to go as much as we'd like. No matter how often you go, you always like to go more, but like to maximize the amount of time you get out of all your trips, like that's killer.
And these guys are on the water every day, and they're sharing their information with us. So it's it's super helpful. And if you watch YouTube and Facebook Live, you can see we're chatting with them during the breaks, getting more information and stuff like that. But speaking of chatting, phone calls are packing up. Jeff's standing by in the fan studios waiting for your phone calls. We have lots of good texts, and you have a good text to start out, right?
I thought so, and it's something that I know is near and dear to both of these guys' hearts, and it was a surface iron question. It says, good morning, guys. Could you talk a little bit about the pros and cons of using lure clips for surface iron and yo-yo fishing? Are they more helpful? Do they help when using a short top shot? Thanks for the info, Ed and Ventura.
I would say avoid clips at all costs if you can. You should be proficient at tying a knot. The only benefit I see from those speed clips is if you're fishing a very short top shot, like you're fishing a 2-3 foot piece of fluorocarbon and you're fishing like calico bass or something. And still, even then, I think you should remove that clip from your fishing line. It's one more thing. There's a couple of situations on my boat that really stick out with those clips. Is in tangles. It's like probably like the nighttime bite leaders, but like in the daytime it's the same, where the line goes into those clips. And I remember a situation where we clipped it off the line, and the clip slid down the line with the lure attached, and the guy was winding in his fish and just grabbing every single line he went by, and it was just like a fish that we could have caught super easily turned into a disaster, wrapping up every single person on the boat.
He wasn't very popular after that.
They didn't know who. No, the guy with the fighting the fish didn't have a clip on. It was someone else's clip.
Oh, you never found out whose clip it was.
I found out who it was.
Yeah, we found out.
But the lure stayed like halfway up the line and just caught everyone's line on the way in. It was a disaster. And then I've also had another situation where I'm trying to get the clip off someone's line and the other line gets bit and blows up. So the guy, if you guys didn't have a clip on, I probably wouldn't have been in that tangle. And it's just like, you should be proficient at time, and you shouldn't be changing your lure that often. Like you should have confidence in what you're tying on. And if you don't, you should ask the crew members what you should tie on.
That's good.
They'll put you in the right direction.
And when it comes to bluefin, Gavin, I mean, clips, not a good idea.
Yeah, I would say I don't see that too terribly much on my boat, because I think that's probably something better for like surface irons and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It's like a big trend right now.
Yeah. I think a big part that some people have to realize is there's a lot of fishing gear that's made to catch fishermen, and there's a little bit of fishing gear that's made to catch fish. And I think that's probably one of those things that's, made to sell, not made to help you catch more fish,
So recommending don't clip.
Correct.
Yeah.
I
Don't
love what you said too. Like, you don't need to change it all the time. Like,
Yeah.
you're likely not getting a bite because the lure was the wrong color. You need to swatch it out. It just, whatever, the timing wasn't right, the cast wasn't put in the right
Exactly.
spot, whatever it might be. Like, have the right thing on all the time. And if you spend your whole time dropping a yo-yo jig because there was a bite on the yo-yo jig, and you abandon your fly line fishing, and then 3 guys got bit on the fly line, so you wind that up, and then you go put the fly line back on, and then 1 guy hooked one on the surface iron, you wind your bait back in, you go throw the surface, like, you're always chasing it.
The guys who I always tell people when we're yellowtail fishing, if there's like half the boat is fishing, well, most of the boat's fishing a yo-yo jig, and you want to catch one on the surface irons, like you need to dedicate your time to the surface iron if you really want to catch one on the surface iron. And if you want to catch one, stick to the yo-yo jig. And if you go bounce back and forth, you're going to miss every opportunity on both techniques.
Yeah, good advice.
Yeah,
Good
that's
advice
great.
for sure. Well, let's jump into the phones. You want to get through? Jeff standing by. 833-288-0973 is the number.
Phones are 100% packed up right now, but as soon as we talk to Alex in San Carlos, you're going to have a shot to get through. Good morning, Alex. Thanks for getting us started here on the phones.
Hey, good morning, guys. My question is about mono top shots and the leaders. Are people still fishing like the little 3-foot fluorocarbon leader that's like surgeon's loop, like on top of a mono top shot? Is there like a time and a place? And also, does that fluorocarbon leader need to match the mono, or could it be like maybe like a 10-pound difference in line rating?
So we definitely still have people that fish that mono to a short fluorocarbon top shot. I would say we definitely recommend that to more beginners. It's a little bit more forgiving when you're fishing. We definitely fish a lot of mono with certain lures like a surface iron or a yo-yo jig. I like to fish a lot of mono. And for yellowtail, I like fly line fishing for yellowtail. I definitely like to use mono. For me, we're doing a lot more fluorocarbon, or excuse me, a lot more Spectra to like a longer fluorocarbon leader. That's what I like to fish, especially for tuna and fly line baits. As far as matching your fluorocarbon to your mono, I think I pretty much always match my fluorocarbon to my mono. If anything, I would do the opposite of what you said. I would fish maybe 10 pounds heavier on my fluorocarbon than my mono. So say I'm fly lining 40-pound mono, I might put 50-pound fluorocarbon on the end. And the reason for that is I want my mono to be a little bit thinner because there's more of it in the water, and that's going to make my bait swim better because it's a thinner diameter line. But having that little bit heavier leader, it will definitely help me with like abrasion resistance, say on a bluefin where they have teeth, but I only have like 3 feet of that in the water. So it's not a lot of drag in the water, and my sardine can still swim better. So if anything, if I'm not going to match my fluorocarbon to my mono, I'll have my fluorocarbon maybe 1 line class heavier than my mono.
You guys have both said that in the past a lot, how much more user-friendly it is having mono on the reel completely and not worrying about the Spectra until you're super proficient. What is it about that you guys have both seen where you think when somebody's developing the skills, mono is just such a better tool for them?
Just the margin for error. Spectra, it can get tangled really easy, and just when you're pulling on fish, there's no stretch. Obviously, it costs a lot more. If you are backlashing and messing up your reel, mono is so much easier to respool. And if you're kind of like when you're pulling on a fish, you can get away with more with the mono because it is stretchier. The braid, it's light. It gets blown around by the wind. It's tougher to cast. It's just a little more, I don't know, high maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then like when you inevitably do get a backlash, it's so much easier to get your backlash out with mono versus Spectra.
22.
Especially like, Matt and I talk a lot about fishing thinner Spectra now, 30, 40, 50-pound Spectra.
30-pound Spectra.
30-pound Spectra. To get a backlash out of 30-pound Spectra, you have to be like a magician to get that out a lot of times. Where 30-pound mono, you could do it blindfolded,
Yeah.
Hey, thanks a lot for the phone call this morning. That does free up, as Rick said, 833-288-0973. Tell us about Captain's Concept. So those our listeners may not be familiar. What is Captain's Concept? How do you subscribe?
So we've been doing it for, I think, around probably 4 seasons now, I think.
Yeah,
I think it's been around 4 years. Matt and I were talking a while ago when this bluefin thing first started. And, back maybe 10 years ago, you'd show up to a trip. You just have a couple rods, a 25 and a 40-pound rod to fly line and maybe a rod to fish a lure with. And that's all you need. And then this bluefin thing came around and we fish so many different ways, 24 hours a day, fishing for fish that are 20 pounds up to 300 pounds. And there's so much that goes into it where we just wanted a way to be able to get to our passengers, to let them know what's working, what to bring, what tackle we like to use. We saw a lot of people coming out on the boats with tackle that was completely unnecessary, and we had guys coming out on the boats that didn't have any of the right gear that we needed. So we came up with this thing where we can really get to our people, explain to them from the captain's sort of view. We're on the water each probably 200 days out of the year, so we're really in tune with what's going on. So we just wanted a way to be able to get to everyone, to be able to know what tackle we like to use, what we don't like to use, and a lot of techniques, what we like to do and what we don't like to do. So we make videos all summer long. We usually do one around once a week during the fishing season.
You're on the boat when you do these.
Yeah.
You all have Starlinks.
Yeah, so a lot of times, like, Matt will make a video and talking about something on his way in from a trip, and I'll make a video. If I'm leaving in the morning on a 3-day, we'll get bait, and I'll talk about what's been going on. But anyway, we wanted to do this so we could get to our people and they can learn as much about fishing as they possibly can and what's going on. So we do videos. You could directly message us, ask us questions. Hey, man, I'm going on a 3-day trip.
That's part of the service.
Yeah, part of the
that's
service.
The biggest part.
So a lot of what we get is, hey, man, I'm going on a 3-day trip next week. This is my bundle of rods. Is there anything I can leave at home? Is there anything I need to add? We get a lot of guys that are like, hey, man, I'm looking for I want to add like a 50-pound setup to my arsenal. This is kind of my price range. What do you think I should get? And we could tell people that too, because there's so much.
You guys respond to these guys.
Oh yeah, we respond.
Oh,
And same thing. We both have Starlinks on the boat, so we're pretty on top of it as far as that. So
The thing that I love too is you guys. You said from the beginning you're not manufacturer sponsored, and even if you ever were, like that has no bearing on the answer that you give. Like you're not tied to anybody when you give your recommendation on whatever it might be whatsoever.
Yeah, so we don't have anyone. We're not pushing any products.
Right.
There's no company that is paying us or anything.
And
like
we gave you a bunch of free tunks and jigs, so you make sure to tell them that this XYZ brand is the one.
Yeah, and if you're a subscriber, like Matt has, we both use all sorts of different brands of everything from lures to rods to reels. And someone might come up to me and say, hey, man, I'm on a real low budget for a reel. What should I get? Okay, well, this is the best reel for your money. Or someone be like, maybe money's not an issue. Like, what should I get? And we could tell them that too. So anyway, how you find us, you could just Google Captain's Concepts. We're on the platform Patreon. It's set up kind of like an Instagram, but it's a paid subscription. And you could just make a Patreon account either online. They also have an app, which is really easy to use. You can get the Patreon app. Just search Captain's Concepts. It's pretty easy to find. And you can look back at all the videos we've made in the last 4 years. We probably have close to 200 videos now. And again, like as patrons, as people that subscribe, we make a video and people comment, and people start developing like a dialogue throughout there, and they talking to each other on, hey, I was on this, last week and this worked great for me, and this and that. And then again, like you can message us, ask us any questions. You can request, hey, man, I've been struggling with fly line, and can you make a video about fly lining this or that, or anything. We do whatever kind of our people want. The biggest thing is like when we're fishing, when things are going on, we notice a lot of people coming on the boats that are like, hey, man, my buddy was on a trip last month. This is what he said to use. He killed him on this last month. And it's like, in the fishing, like last month, basically, could mean nothing. So we're getting people like what happened like today, so they can come out for their trip. So they come out for their trip and be fully prepared.
Well, last year this worked really well.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It doesn't work that way.
Exactly. It changes so much. So being able to have like, this is like the most updated info you can get
from the boat.
Yeah.
Like right now.
And not only.
So do you subscribe for a month? Do you subscribe for a day? How do you subscribe?
You can do it for a month, or you can do it for a year, and you get a little discount if you do it for the year. But it's by the month, and you sign up today. You can look at every single video that we've done in the last 4 years of doing it. So it's even good. We've had some guys that are like, hey man, instead of randomly scrolling through Instagram or TikTok, he's like, I go back and watch your guys' videos from 2 years ago and just soak up all that information that you guys are talking about.
Stuff,
There's hours and hours of content. If you're if you're into fishing, this is the best way, because not only are you getting the perspective of captains from Matt and I who are on the water all the time, but we also carry some of the best fishing passengers in our fleet on our two boats. So we're not only are we learning ourselves, but we're watching guys on the boat that are fantastic fishermen, and we're like, oh man, this guy was doing this, and then we can forward that information onto our subscribers.
And Matt, you were talking now this time of the year, so the annual subscription this time of the year, not as many videos, but you said you got some ideas on putting more videos out like today.
There's plenty of stuff. We do a lot of like deep dives into like different things. Like the last video I made was or was the last one? I don't remember. One of the most recent ones was talking about how I like surface iron's a big topic. How I like bring my surface irons, how balance and the size of the ring, size of the hook can affect how a jig swims and stuff like that. So we're going to keep moving in that
Deep dive
direction.
into different things like that.
Yeah, just
Different
kind of weird
subjects.
things that you'd probably never know unless you mess with the surface iron a lot.
I'll tell you one thing that like still I'm having trouble wrap my head around is putting on one of your third hats with the two fish jigs is what a difference how far down that top hole being drilled can make in a lure.
Oh, yeah.
I've been doing this my whole life, my entire lifetime, and surface iron fishing, one of my most favorite things in the world. And that's just never something that ever put too much emphasis into. And you see that CNC JJ from Two Fish Jigs, and you lay three of those things down on the counter, and they almost look identical.
It's tough
and
to pick out.
That difference is so minimal. But you put all three of those lures on, on three different casts, and they all completely react differently.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So minor things make a much bigger change than I think a lot of us probably give it credit.
Yeah, and a lot of stuff we can't even see, which is the crazy part. But the rings, the hook, the hole, all that stuff is something we go over in videos.
Yeah, and that's important stuff.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's cool. Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. We got catch reports, we got phone calls, we got a lot more of your text, and a whole lot more with Matt and Gavin. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup, Southern California sport fishing voice. It's on Let's Talk Hookup app, Facebook, and YouTube Live at 97.3 The Fan.
Wait, a 40-pound white sea bass off an inflatable Hobie kayak? Tell me about that.
I'm Logan from Fastlane Kayaks on Mission Bay, and the whole story began when Ron Lane lent my parents some Hobie Mirage iTrex to put on their boat and take out to Catalina Island. That's when I borrowed the iTrek 11, threw it in my car, and drove down to Baja for a fishing and camping trip. Ended up landing a bucket list 40-pound white sea bass on the inflatable.
Dang, that sounds even better than our mammoth trip. And we packed up the kayaks in the car, snowboarded all morning, then drove down to the lakes, launched the iTrex, and fished for trout all afternoon.
Honestly, the iTrek inflatables are the ultimate fishing platform. From trout in the Sierras, calicos at Catalina, and white sea bass in the Sea of Cortez, they can do it all.
And we've documented all these trips, so check out Fastlane Kayaks on Instagram to see more. And if you think you want a kayak, but you're on the fence, come down to our shop. We're right on Mission Bay, and we would be happy to throw one in the water and let you give it a try. So call Fastlane Kayaks to schedule a demo today.
When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know: CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
The state-of-the-art long-range sport fishing vessel, the Independence, delivers the top quality, comfort, and fishability you look for in a long-range boat. Veteran captains Mark Bizzano and Paul Strasser built this incredible 112-foot vessel with the most modern technology and luxurious comfort available. Once you go on the Independence, you'll be back. Call Independence Sports Fishing at 619-226-6006 or check independencesportfishing.com.
Rock Cod Rick here to tell you about Parker Boats and the guys at West Coast Marine. By now, you all know my boat partner and I bought a new 25 Parker center console from crew at West Coast Marine in Costa Mesa. We've known for a long time that a Parker was the boat for us. It's a stout workhorse of a boat built to last and get you home when the seas get rough. Parker Boats at the launch ramp, the offshore tuna grounds. You wake up in the morning on an overnight trip, and there they are. Parker Boats of all sizes, fishing in the same areas as the sporties. There's a good reason for it: fishability and seaworthiness. West Coast Marine has several new Parkers in stock and ready for delivery. And they have more on the way. Don't get caught without a reliable boat when fishing is this good. Take it from me, if you're ready for a new Parker at a fair, upfront, and honest deal, you need to see West Coast Marine. Check out the inventory and information at westcoastmarine.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning. Captain Matt, Captain Gavin from Captain's Concepts. We're having fun talking fishing and talking all kinds of great info. It's been a really, really steady morning this morning, and lots of great info coming on. Very good phone calls, Texts are solid through. It's been a great show.
Yeah, time for the catch report.
You got it, man. This morning, our catch report is sponsored in part by Gamakatsu. It's not just all about hooks with Gamakatsu. There's so much more, including those brand new Gamakatsu fillet knives. Once you try one, you're going to want more, and their brand new tools are very cool as well, including those brand new Gamakatsu braid scissors made with ceramic blades so they'll never rust. You can see them at your local dealer or check gamakatsu.com. We're going to head on up to Dana Wharf Sport Fishing, talk to the man, Captain Brian Woolley's on the line. What's up, Woolley?
Hey, good morning, guys. Matt, Gavin, good morning. Stuff in there this morning.
All good, buddy. Good morning.
Good, man. Pretty easy week for us this week, just about every day. You know, other than that little bit of wind, the conditions were great. Little bit of that wind, unfortunately, in the forecast here again, but we'll see what we can do this next week. Half-day anglers saw some decent bass action. Again, all this action for the bass guys is being caught by the guys that are scaling down their monofilament size. 8 to 12 pound line, even incorporating a little bit of fluorocarbon to their below their swivel for their rig has been paying off for those guys, scaling down hook size to fit the anchovies that we have for light bait. So just that little bit of extra effort's been paying off for those guys targeting the calico bass and the sand bass. Some catch and release on the sheephead for the guys that are still, hardcore into that kind of stuff, and over the deeper hard bottom. A little bit of sculpin and whitefish kind of in those counts. 3/4 day, we've been fishing that sculpin down off Camp Pendleton. It's been pretty productive for us guys fishing the rubber lures and the pinks, reds, the swim baits in the same colors. Those guys have been getting the bites pretty consistently. Funny deal about the sculpin now, there's no size limit on these things, which is just kind of a head scratcher for us. I don't know why the state changed that, but it's still 5 fish, but there's no size limit. But we're still telling our guys there's no need to keep anything under 10 inches. It makes no sense.
Yeah, you don't get a whole lot. You don't get a whole lot of fillet off of one that's sub 10 inches.
No, even like a 10-inch one's still tough. But I don't know, the one fish you can take off in 300 feet of water and throw over the side and know it's going to go down every time. Like, I don't know. It's one of those weird deals. So, anyways, guys catching 5 fish. We're still trying to make them stick to that 10-inch deal. Just one of those opportunities, I guess. You just kind of catch them, and then we've been kind of sliding to the inside. There's been some halibut action for us as well in some of the shallow areas over the hard bottom where a lot of that anchovy and bait has been kind of hung up on the inside there. So the halibut drift trip on Friday, those guys had 4 or 5 fish, I think, kind of targeting those areas on the inside, which was great for our derby. And then we always tell our guys, if you're going to come on a half day or 3/4 day, buy in for $5. We had a guy out on a half day with us on Friday that caught a fish just under 20 pounds. So he's in the running there for sure for the monthly prize pack in our derby with that 20 pounder. You just never know, but it's an easy buy-in when you buy your ticket in the morning. So we'll have that drift trip again on Friday. I will tell you Tuesday, not only is it our 2-for-1 deal, but we're, donating a major part of our proceeds to some of the fire victims and some of that stuff going up the coast. So if you guys wanted to come out with us, you try to pick a day, if you can finagle a Tuesday in your schedule, that'd be awesome. Not only will you save a few bucks on a trip, but a portion of that proceeds is going to go up the coast there and help those guys with that unfortunate circumstance going on up there. So give us a call here, 949-496-5794. Of course, you can hit us on the web too at danawharf.com.
You guys are the man. That's awesome. What a great idea and a great way to send some money to some folks that are certainly in need for it. And man, still some good fishing to be had, and we got a nice little piece of weather in front of us. So looking forward to it, Willie. Great job, great report, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
All right, have a good one. See ya.
That's awesome, buddy. Appreciate
All
it
right.
very much.
Thanks. And while we're waiting for Gundy, and Frank Lopresti called in and said Jonathan's killing it right now on the Royal Players.
Hey,
and
all right.
hopefully Frank's going to be able to get through. I gave Frank the numbers, and so hopefully he'll be able to get through and kind of fill us in on that. But he's having quite the trip down below.
All right, that's
Sounds
right. New hotline numbers got to make it all the way down to the Royal Players.
That's right. Yeah. So Dave in Anaheim writes, I know when night fishing gets down to fish. I know when night fishing, getting down to the fish first is important. Can you make an eddy bomb that's too heavy? I have a trolling weights up to 4 pounds. And your thoughts on that?
I don't think I've seen anyone use 4 pounds.
A 4-pounder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it'd be all right if you got a bite on your very first drop.
Yeah,
didn't have
never had to wind it back up again.
Didn't have to wind it in, but It definitely depends on the circumstance. Sometimes the fish are right when we stop. It's very important to be the first one down. There's definitely some times when, waiting a second is better. There's a very fine line. I think a lot of times if people cast out too early, they end up with their lure, scoped out way behind the boat, and that doesn't help at all. I think like 16 ounces, I think, seems to be the happy number if you're looking for a lure that gets straight down there quick. 16 ounces seems to be what I like to use.
Yeah. And I know your other business, you guys make an Eddie Bomb that's pretty right on, right?
Yeah.
It's better than Eddie Bomb, yeah.
How heavy is that thing?
Right around 400 grams, I think, something like that.
Yeah.
What is that in ounces?
Yep.
That's probably.
So tell us
20
about
ounces or
that
something?
one. That's, of course,
It's the Midnight Rider from Two Fish Jigs. We wanted to make something similar to like a Eddie Bomb sinker type thing, but like we were talking about with the tungsten jig, I have a tough time feeling very fishy with the sinker and hooks. Yeah, so it's just about the same size.
14 ounces.
Yeah. But I feel very unfishy with just a sinker and hooks tied to my line. So we wanted to make something a little bit different, and that Midnight Rider definitely flutters a little bit more, but
different
sinks.
kind of shape.
It's unique in its shape.
Yeah,
for sure.
it's definitely different. And it's a sinker style lure still, but it flutters a little bit more, and kind of like it's more like a yo-yo jig on the way up, in my opinion. It kind of does that spinning and like breaking out kind of thing.
You like them, Gavin?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a time and a place. Like I'd say the second half of our last season, I had to like really tell people not to fish like Eddie Bomb style lures just because it wasn't the way the fish were acting, it wasn't working. But there's a lot of times when, if we're stopping on big schools and they're only hanging around the boat for like, I'm not exaggerating, hanging around the boat for like, 20 to 30 seconds when that lure is super important. But there's times when we're stopping on not a lot of fish and there's not, 20,000 fish under the boat. There's only a little bit where that, where the few fish that are around are definitely going to key into something that's going to have more action than that for sure.
Hooks on top or hooks on bottom on the Midnight Rider?
For me, bottom.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it on the bottom.
Yeah, we do on bottom, same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a lot of things going on. Captain's Concepts, Two Fish Jigs, San Diego.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try to stay busy.
Gotta keep busy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
Well, while we're waiting for to finish up our catch report, phone lines are packed up. Why don't we jump back into them and talk to Tom? He's calling us from Temecula this morning. Hi, Tom. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Morning, guys. Got a couple questions. One is with the drier season that we've had, can you guys comment on what the water temperatures are doing and kind of maybe what your forecast is going into the future? Naturally, we don't know exactly what's going to happen the next couple of months. And then the other question is, have you guys seen much experience with using the waxwing lures there at the islands in conjunction with, as a alternate to surface iron? And how do those work? And it seems like they should work as good as, but your thoughts?
As far as predictions, it's super hard to say, but I think we're in for another good season. That yellowfin that they were catching late in the season, it would seem like it was from up here all the way down the Baja coastline. Big grade yellowfin. I'm curious to see what that brings for us. There was a lot of yellowtail this past season, so hopefully they got a good spawn in. There's more of that coming. I know there's some guys catching them in St. Catine right now. I sound like there's some pretty good yellowtail fishing there, so hopefully that stuff works its way up by March.
Yeah.
They're waiting for us at the Coronado Islands when the San Diego starts running. And the amount of bluefin at the Coronado Islands was interesting as well. So hopefully that's a sign of things to come. Yeah.
Do you think that stuff at the Coronado Islands is relating to the pens there? Like they're relating offshore to the pens?
They always seem to be around those pens.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's why they're there. I know I think those.
I mean, that's
bluefin were
where the
there.
feed is, right?
And it's a different piece of structure, that's for sure. So there's a lot going on there. We've seen yellowtail relate to it as well. So it's definitely, I think it's a factor.
Yeah, like we were talking about as far as like offshore away from the islands, there wasn't really much water structure whatsoever. So that's probably a good reason why a lot of that bluefin like worked their way into the islands, because it gave them some sort of structure for bait, or it gives them something a reason to stay there.
When you're talking about structure, you guys are talking about water edges. That's structure to you guys?
Well, there's both. There's structure like you're fishing, Tanner, for me, like Tanner Cortez Bank, where there's bottom structure. But when we're talking about offshore fishing, where it's, whatever, 1,000 plus deep, we're talking about, water structure. So it might be a temperature edge, where it might be 0.5 degree, 2 degrees, something like that. It might be water structure, there might be clean water and dirty water. And then there's also water structure that you can't visually see. Like when we're driving around, we'll see, like, we call it schmutz, where all of our screens are clean. And then you'll drive into an area where our screens aren't clean, where there's some sort of microorganisms in the water. That's also water structure. Bait, there's areas of bait and no bait. So that's all kind of things that we're looking at, like as captains, when we're driving around looking for something.
Are there conditions that are more important than others, or can any one of them be the thing that day? Is temperature is king, is current king, is color king, or is there no such thing?
No, I think it's Matt. Maybe I have some. I think it's different on per
offshore. It can be different. Sometimes the worst water is the best water.
Yeah. Sometimes
water.
We've, especially the last few years, we spent a lot of time, we're driving around in like warm blue water, and it's like a desert. And then you get into some, green, dirty water, and that's where all the fish are, So it definitely is different, not, by the day, I would say. Sometimes the fish want to be in a certain type of water. Typically, we're looking, based on like the past couple of days, we're looking for a specific type of water. Like, we're looking for the cleanest, warmest water around, or we're looking for the dirty water with the bait. It just depends on like that circumstance of the week.
Yeah, if we're starting with like a blank piece of paper there, the textbook would say you're looking for the warmest, cleanest water, but generally that's not always the case.
Not always the case.
At the
and
islands,
this past year, you said you saw a lot of generic water, right?
Oh yeah, miles of just the same.
Just
thing.
no edges,
no
breaks.
difference, no nothing. Yeah,
and that's not good.
Not if you're trying to locate anything. Yeah. It's hard to pinpoint where the fish are going to be if there's no true edge or structure where you can kind of focus your attention.
You're already trying to find a needle in the haystack, and that makes it a really, really big haystack.
Yeah,
it spreads them out.
Obviously, the fish are moving around a lot, and like you said, it spreads the fish out. It's nothing. There's no like hard line to stop the fish from continuing to go any specific direction.
That's awesome, man. How good info is that?
Yeah.
Hey, when we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More of your phone calls and more great info with the boys from Captain Concept. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup on 97.3 The Fan.
Seasoned long-range fishermen know that the Red Rooster 3 is the finest fishing vessels in terms of technology, design, speed, comfort, and safety. This 105-foot sport fishing yacht meets every demand for comfort while delivering an unforgettable fishing vacation. Captain Andy Cates and crew are experienced, friendly, and sincere in their desire to help you have the trip of a lifetime. Book a trip on the Red Rooster 3, and you'll be back. Trips go fast. So check redrooster3.com or call Lee Palm Sport Fisheries at 619-224-3857.
Outdoorsman, Southern California's #1 shooting, hunting, and fishing tackle retailer since 1971, is right in your neighborhood. Now with stores throughout Southern, Central, and Northern California. No one does it better. Turner's Outdoorsman brings you the best prices and selection, plus a knowledgeable staff that will help make your day on the water or in the field more fun. Stop by your neighborhood Turner's Outdoorsman. To find a location nearest you, check the web at turners.com and sign up for special deals and more.
The best just got better. Shimano is proud to introduce the all-new Talica 20A and 25A reels. The Talica series is Shimano's flagship two-speed lever drag reel. It sits at the very pinnacle of the offshore world. The Shimano's Talica success is driven by its durability and spec attributes, allowing the series to differentiate from other lever drag reels within the market. The Talica is built around a cold forged machined aluminum one-piece frame. The all-new Talica 20A and 25A now boasts Infinity Drive. Infinity Drive employs 2 drag washers housed in the side of the reel, allowing for an ultra-smooth, powerful drag system, while at the same time increasing winding power under a load as much as 40%. There's also a new lower low gear. If your utmost concern is performance without compromise, Talica 20A and 25A are the reels for you. Available now at your local Shimano dealer. This year, make reliable boating your resolution and back it with exhilarating deals with a new Yamaha outboard during Yamaha's New Year, New Reliability sales event. From now until March 31st, 2025, purchase a new eligible Yamaha 450 to 30 horsepower outboard and get up to 7 years of coverage protection. Looking to hit the water with lower horsepower? There's a deal for you too. Purchase a new Yamaha 25 to 2.5 horsepower outboard and receive up to $200 in dealer credit toward the purchase of additional goods and services. Don't miss this limited time offer. Visit your local Yamaha dealer today. Yamaha, reliability starts here. Offer ends March 31st, 2025, subject to change. Other restrictions and conditions apply. Select models exclude 24-month Yamaha extended service added to a 36 or 60-month factory limited warranty. Choice offered to Florida residents is a 24-month Yamaha limited warranty. See authorized participating Yamaha outboard dealer for details. Cannot be used with any other Yamaha offer.
KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
You won't find a better community of radio listeners anywhere. Join our Tier 1s to talk Padres, baseball, and more on Bennett Woods, weekdays from 6 to 10 a.m. on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And Odyssey Sports Station. This program is sponsored and produced by Let's Talk Hookup. Opinions and offers expressed during this program are not those of Odyssey or 97.3 The Fan. Sometimes they tell some pretty hefty fish stories. We don't know if they're true or not.
And now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. This portion of the show is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. And by Yamaha Outboards, official motor sponsor of Let's Talk Hookup. Here we go. Another great hour of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. Here's Pete Gray, Rock Cod, Rick Maxa, and Corey Sandin.
Welcome back. Hour number 2, Let's Talk Hookup, right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app and YouTube and Facebook Live. And, of course, 97.3 The Fan. Pete Gray here, along with Rock Cod, Rick Maxa. We're in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here, right next to the San Diego landings in Point Loma. Matt and Gavin are here from Captain's Concepts. Boy, what great information we're getting out today. And it's just a sample of the kind of information you get from these two guys on Captain's Concepts, which is a subscription service on Patreon. And Patreon is an app, or is it a it's something you can do on your computer if you don't have a smartphone or whatever.
My bad.
It's all
My
good.
bad.
Yeah, you could do both. You could do an app, or you could do it on your laptop. People do, we do it on both. So it is an app. It's kind of set up similar to like Instagram. You could check out our profile, scroll through all our videos, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I think you said it best. Like there are people out there that haven't heard of it or are unfamiliar with it. There's nothing to let that trip yet. Go on your computer and do a Google search for Captain's Concepts. Click the link and the instructions are. There's nothing to it.
Yeah, I think
It's
if you Google Captain's Concepts, I think we're like the first thing that pops up. I believe
It's the first thing.
Yeah, it's easy to find. It's not difficult.
And you guys do a really good job with your social media. Again, clips, videos, things like that. There's lots of things that will link you to that info, and it's easy to get.
Yeah, you can check us out on Instagram, Captain's Concepts, and we have like a link in there. The reason for Patreon is because Matt and I, obviously, like, our full-time gig is being on the boat all the time, and we're not the most computer savvy people. So it just is an easy way for us to.
They host it for you.
Yeah, they host it for us. So it's an easy way for us to get our videos up, an easy way for us to check it to see if anyone messaged us.
They
versus
collect the money.
Yeah, it just makes it a lot easier for us who, we're like living on our boats basically. We can't spend a lot of time messing with the website or anything. So that's the reason behind having it on Patreon. Yeah.
If there wasn't like a reason that these are the two guys that are supposed to be doing exactly this video and this kind of content, is if you would have had the microphones on during the break, both of them were talking about tackle and hooks and changing things around. Like, they have 2 hours where they're not working on boats or driving people fishing when they're not having to do it. And the same thing. I don't know, man. I like this hook a little bit. I don't know. I like it. That's exactly how your guys' mind works. And I think it's so rad that you put a platform together to share that info with everybody. It was a really good move.
Yeah, it's great. And boy, we have a great show for today. And you want to get through, we're giving away a great prize today too, right, Rick?
You're not kidding. Been a very busy morning on the phones. Brand new phone numbers now that we're back home on the Fan. 833-288-0973. That's how you reach us on the phones. Again, 833-288-0973. 0973, or send us a text. We got so many great texts lined up for you here in the second hour. The only way to text in your questions to Let's Talk Hookup is through that Let's Talk Hookup app. Again, it's a free download. It's the easiest way to listen to Let's Talk Hookup. When you do send your text, make sure you include your contact info. All we need is a name and a phone number, because if you win the prize at the end of the show, we want to make sure to get it to you. And what a prize it is, like Pete was saying, one lucky caller or texter decided by that coin flip at the end of the show is going to win a full day trip on board the San Diego and a $100 gift certificate to Seawald Photo Gallery, where you can choose from over 120 photos from all over the world, personally signed and titled by Michael Seawald. A really, really impressive gift. Check seawald.com and see some amazing images. It was a really, really cool prize.
Thanks to Michael. A big fan of Let's Talk Hookup for doing that for us, too. It's really nice. Hey, Frank Lepresti sent it. He was trying to call. He couldn't get through, but he said, excellent fishing on the Royal Polaris right now. Average of 10 wahoo per angler. Wow. And excellent tuna fishing. And they're getting some big ones, too. Yeah.
Boys, Rock on Rick could use a little wahoo pump up in the freezer. Just throwing that out there. You got a little too much to deal with. Holler at your boy up here. That's awesome.
Sure. But yeah, that's that New Year's Day annual trip. The Yo's, or excuse me, not Yo's Tackle, but Taka's Tackle.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's some serious experience angling on that.
Good for those guys too. What a great trip. And it looked
good way to start the year.
I was following them on social media too. Looks like they're having excellent yellowfin tuna fishing to go along with it too. I mean, how about every passenger having 10 wahoo or more on board? That's crazy.
Take that.
Good fishing.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the number of fish that you know, with those things, the number of those things that you need to hook before one finally makes its way into the hold. Like, if everybody's having that good of fishing, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, for sure. Will you have a good text, Rick?
I thought so. It says, good morning, guys. With the when the yellowfin tuna show up, do Matt or Gavin like to troll for yellowfin like in the old days? If so, when a fish is hooked on the troll, is it best to leave the fish hook attached, similar to a Dorado, so the school comes closer to the boat? Curious about procedure and what's best to do it with. Matt in Apple Valley.
I'd say when we're fishing yellowfin tuna, we're basically always trolling. A lot of times it's best to, or sometimes it's best to, like, say we see a school, to wait till we get a bite on the troll before we're stopping the boat or something. But we definitely don't fish like that. We don't leave a fish in the water or anything. That might be something that like a small boat or a ponga would use to like their advantage. But for us, we have 20, 30 people on the boat. We're not doing that. Our goal of trolling is to get the boat stopped, so that way we could fly line live bait and catch, to where everyone on the boat's fishing, and we're fly lining and fishing that way.
On a skiff, you might, like you say, you might leave a fish to, so there's some commotion going on. You have the commotion of 30 guys putting baits in the water.
Yeah, we have hundreds of scoops of live bait, so
Totally.
we're throwing lots of live bait in the water, and that's what's going to keep the fish around the boat and get the fish fired up.
You can make a commotion.
Yeah,
real fast.
exactly. Yeah, we're making our own.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, while they last, pick up your copy of the 2025 CCA Sport Fishing Calendar at Fisherman's Landing, Seaforth Landing, Dana Landing, and your favorite tackle shop. By supporting CCA, you're working to protect the rights of all California anglers. And speaking of CCA, of course, they have that big event coming up this Thursday, and it's up at the Calfino Tequila distillery
cool.
up in Carlsbad there, and they're going to be showing the Ghosts of the Pacifics, a white sea bass story that Bob Who said yesterday is just a phenomenal video, and you have to see that. They're going to have food and brew and tequila, of course. It's 4 to 7 p.m. It's like an angler's night out, and you have to check that out. It's at the Calfino Tequila distillery right there in Carlsbad, and just go there, support CCA, and hang out with the great guys.
Yeah,
and gals.
There you go.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's jump into the phones, Rick.
Well, phones are definitely packed up. This time we're going to talk to Mike. He's calling us from Phoenix this morning. Good morning, Mike. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, gentlemen. My question would be for the boys. I'm looking to maybe a mid-range setup for throwing the surface iron. I've got a couple of Phantoms, and I'd like to pair that with a decent rod.
For me, I'd basically tell if you're just getting one jig stick, a CalStar 90J is just like day in, day out, can cover you for almost any situation. Yeah, that's the glass CalStar 90J is basically the perfect, just all around jig stick. If you're looking for,
is there a certain length, or I would get
90J is a 9-footer. It's a 9-footer. I believe it's rated like 30 to 60 pounds.
And what Phantom would you pair that with?
I think you're talking about a Fathom. Probably like a Fathom. I'd use a Star Drag if I was using it. It'd be either like a 25 or a 30. I think that's
size.
Yep.
Yeah. Your go-to on that would be like a Trinidad A.
Yeah, for me, I fish a Trinidad 20A with
Shimano
40-pound mono. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
And you had mentioned kind of wanting to do it on a budget. If the Trinidad 20A is out of the budget, Torium would be the route to go.
Perfect.
If you're trying to do the
those
same
Fathoms
thing.
are pretty good too. I've messed with those a little bit.
The
but
Star Drag ones?
Yeah, the Star Drag ones are okay. But yeah, I think it's a 25 narrow. I think is the Penn Fathom, or the 20A or 20 Torium is beautiful.
All right. Very good. Thanks a lot for the phone call this morning. Kathleen from Ocean Beach wants to know, good morning, gentlemen. My question, does Captain's Concept have swag gear like for sale, hoodies, shirts, stuff like that?
Yeah, we do. We have hoodies, shirts, and T-shirts. Yeah, we don't have any way to sell them online, but if you go on the San Diego or you go on the Pacific Queen, we have them. Or
you have them on the boat.
Yeah, or if you're a subscriber, you could just message us and we can get it to you one way or another. Yeah, exactly.
So if you're subscribed, if you're a subscriber, you have interaction with you guys. That's part of the service.
Yep.
Is being able to talk to you, ask questions and such like that. So if you're a fan and you're a subscriber, just message you, hey, I want a hoodie or I want a hat or whatever.
Yeah, like this time of year would be easier for us too. So if you wanted us to ship it to you or something, we could do that. Summertime, I don't think you could get one of us to ship it to you just because we're so busy. But right now, if you needed it, if you wanted it now, we could just message us on there. We could get it shipped to you one way or another.
We'll also be at PCS this year.
We've done the PCS show, and we bring all of our T-shirts and all that, sweatshirts, all that stuff up there too. So if you're at the PCS show, that'd be a good time. Swing by our booth, and we'll have everything then. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So you guys are both going to be there for the 4 days of the PCS show, March 6th through 9?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, right now we should be there the whole time.
What happens if bluefin start biting March 6th through 9?
You will not be seeing Gavin.
Yeah, I mean, we might have to get someone.
Yeah,
you want to watch our booth?
Yeah, but you'll have a booth.
Now, can you get a White Lightning autograph if you were to buy a Captain's Concept hoodie at the PCS show?
Yeah, of course.
All right, that's what I like to do.
All right, you want to get through 833-288-0973. You have a good text.
I did. It says, great to hear the show as usual. I really like to hear from two of the most respected local captains on our fleet. I was hoping you guys could give me your thoughts on what happened just a general wrap up of what happened on last year's local 1 to 3 day trips and how that affects your prospects for next year. I've got trips coming up in the early part of the season. Wondering if you guys think we'll have another early year DJ in San Diego.
The last year I'd say was relatively similar to the last few years. We started off in the early springtime. It was a little bit later last year versus the last couple of years, but nonetheless it got going. I think end of April, early May, and we had consistent with the last few years. We had a lot of good nighttime fishing, very, very slow daytime fishing for bluefin of all sizes, and ended up out at Cortez and Tanner Bank where we spent a lot of time catching 20 to 40 pounders, a lot of fly line fishing. We had a few weeks there of like some of the most incredible yellowtail fishing at Cortez Bank.
That was wild.
That was incredible.
Whoa.
And
nice grade too, right?
Incredible grade, yeah. And the cool thing, which I hadn't seen out there ever, was we caught a lot of yellowtail at night. So it was like, as captains and crews were finally like, yeah, we get to sleep at night. We're fishing during the day. Oh no, wrong. We caught a lot of like beautiful grade yellowtail at night at Cortez. Dropper loop fishing both with live squid and sardines. A lot of the guys fishing jigs, they were slow pitching at night, catching yellowtail. So that was like a highlight for me. That's cool. I remember specifically we had one trip where kind of like a company trip, not a lot of guys that are super interested in fishing. So at night, everyone was sleeping and we only had a handful of guys up. And I remember my second captain woke me up like in an absolute panic because like everyone that was up had one on. I like put my boots on, ran downstairs, and there's just like the deck is just covered in yellowtail. Guys are catching them on 100-pound line, trying to bounce them because there was too many going all at once, and it was like it was insanity.
And and what grade were they?
They were all like 20 to 30 pounders.
Oh
man! Yeah, I think we caught like 75, and there was like maybe 10 people up. It was
cool.
It was insane. So we did that.
And that was on the anchor.
That was on the anchor.
How fun.
At like 2 in the morning,
2
you
in the
know,
morning.
which I've never really seen too much of that. You know, I've always done 1 to 3 day trips, so I don't see very much nighttime yellowtail fishing. And then after that, we had real late in the year, we had that yellowfin, that incredible grade yellowfin. You know, a lot of like 50 to 80 pounders. You know, I remember I ran a trip. We had 9 passengers, a super light load charter, 9 passengers, and it was like, you know, 80-pound yellowfin in the corner. People fly lining
That
with
was like in November,
80-pound. That was end of October.
End of
October, November. You know, when we thought things might be over, we got a shot at those, and that was, you know, we don't really see that grady yellowfin around too much for us, and having it biting that good was really cool to see. So that was definitely another highlight. Of
You
the
said
year.
it was like a long way. You had to travel a long way, and you only had a few hours of fish, but it was enough.
Yeah, exactly.
You get there, you just like, oh, there's a mark.
Yep.
Everybody gets bit.
Yeah, we were
deal was?
fishing. There was good schools on whales. There was bird schools. There was dolphin. There was jig strikes. It was all of the above. Another thing that sticks out, early in the year, we had definitely the best big fish fishing I've seen at night. As far as like fish over 100 pounds, we didn't catch a lot of 200 pounders, but we had some like insane loads of like 120 to 180 pounders, like insane loads and insane fishing on those fish in the beginning of the year. That was cool.
Wow. Matt, what about you?
We had a little different year. The local scene was a grind most of the time. Luckily for us, we had the Coronado Islands, and there was some very good yellowtail fishing. We kind of caught, I felt like, the tail end of the best part, but we definitely put together plenty of good trips. We had one little instance of very big bluefin around those tuna pens in the springtime, which was crazy. 150 pounders to 250 pounders.
Yeah, you guys probably caught more 200 pounders on the full day boat than we did on the 3 day boat. I think.
Man, there was that first day we fished the pens was wild. It was like 15 going of 150 to 250 pounders.
Get out of here.
Yeah,
and were your passengers geared up for it? Because
no.
Yeah.
No.
Unless they had captain's concepts.
No, that was the first day.
Oh, that was the first day.
Kind of caught us slipping. 80 pound was too light that day.
Wow.
Yeah, it
no
was like
kidding.
guys would get a bite, break one off, rig up another Bralla rig, drop it down, get a bite instantly, and be pulling on another 100, 200 pounder.
No way.
Yeah, it was wild the first few days.
Pretty amazing.
And then that bluefin at the islands and just good island fishing, anchor fishing, which is probably my favorite. Put the anchor down and fish, fly line, surface iron, all that good stuff. That was cool.
That was nice to drop the anchor again at the Coronados.
As a captain, putting your anchor down at the islands and just like having 3 to 10 fish going all day is a dream.
Well, it's nice because you would, you know, versus the last couple of years where you might stop the boat and get pandemonium for a couple minutes and leave. Like if you're on a full day on the San Diego, like you were like at the rail all day, like your body's soaked from being at the bait tank. Like you're tired because you got to
work it.
You got to spend a lot of time with your rod, with
my
your
crew members
fishing pole in your hand.
My crew members were sunburnt a lot. They were like, man, we're doing a lot of fishing now. I was like, you gotta,
you're not in the wheelhouse.
This is old school now.
Yeah. And it's
cool.
funny how that worked because we did a lot of that too out at you know, Tanner and Cortez Bank, where there were some days where you drop the anchor and we would do very, very well in a short amount of time, but we spent a lot of time just fishing, you know, anchor down with, you know, 1 to 3 going, and you just do that. But if you have, you know, 1 to 3 going from sun up to sundown, at the end of the day, it's like, man, we had, you know, we ended up catching a lot of fish. It might have felt like it was slow fishing, but you got to spend a lot of the time at the rail fishing rather than, you know, sitting at the rail waiting for the boat to stop. We did a lot of rod and hand fishing this year, I'd say.
The thing that's so cool about that too is those are the scenarios where the info that you guys give really pay the dividends. If you're on a stop where everybody hangs one at once, it probably didn't matter if you didn't have the right hook size. It probably didn't matter if your jig wasn't perfect. Like everybody hooked one and it flashed you. But when you have to pick a good bait and use the right hook or use a specter that's a little bit lighter than the guy standing next to you, like those are the things where the info that you guys give really pay their dividends when it's the style of fishing that you guys both described.
Yeah, and the reward of it, I think, is higher too. You know what I mean? When there's only a few going and you're getting you're getting more than your fair share of bites, you know that you're doing it right, and you know that you're doing it right. You're doing it better than everyone else, and you've spent the time and you've learned and I think the reward of getting bites when fishing is a little tougher is definitely good.
That's cool.
For sure. Hey, 833-288-0973. Let's jump in the phones, Rick.
You got it. How about this time we talked to Jim? He's calling us from National City this morning. Good morning, Jim. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, morning, Pete, Rick, Matt, and Gavin. My question, you guys kind of touched on it But there's all this talk about anchovy coming back into play, and even on yesterday's show, you touched on it. But my question is, to get the best freedom that anchovy to swim, what combination of lines? And you probably touched on this earlier, but to get that anchovy to swim, is it best to go to mono to fluorocarbon, or is Spectra too heavy with fluorocarbon? What do you guys think the best combination for live bait anchovy to get that bait to swim?
I know traditionally a lot of guys prefer the mono for the anchovy. Considering you're most likely fishing light line as it is, you're probably fishing less than 30 pound. It obviously depends on what kind of fish you're fishing for. But for most anchovy fishing that I can recall, we're fishing less than 30 pound and dropping down to thinner Spectra. It'll bite on your spool a little bit more than that mono, and it'll flow better off the spool. For me though, if we're fishing tuna, I'm sold on the Spectra fluorocarbon. So I'm going to be fishing light Spectra, probably 30 pound Spectra, to whatever leader I'm going to be fishing for, whatever leader is called for, 30 to 15 pound, depending on what's going on.
Yeah, I think last time we were fishing with anchovies, only fishing with anchovies was a while ago now, probably 5 years ago now,
Yeah,
or
at least,
something.
something like that.
Yeah, and I don't think back then we were probably fishing, or I don't think I was fishing like light Spectra. We were talking about fishing 30 or 40 pound Spectra. I don't think I was fishing that light of Spectra back then, so that's why I was definitely using mono. But I think, like for example, right now, if we were to leave the dock and there was only anchovies to fish with, I would definitely be trying it with real light Spectra and just see how it went from there.
And a short top shot.
And no, I would still do like a 15 to 20 foot top shot of fluorocarbon. Yeah. Anytime
Straight fluorocarbon, not mono.
Yeah, anytime we're fishing Spectra to a leader, I'm fishing 15 or 20 feet of fluorocarbon.
Okay.
Yeah.
How are you connecting that? What's your connection?
Well, now I just primarily just do an FG knot.
Okay.
That's all I do is an FG knot. I used to do the RP knot up until maybe like 50 pound line. Then I would switch to an FG knot, but now I just only do the FG knot. The FG knot it lasts a really, really long time. You could have it on your reel. I'll have a top shot tied on my rod sometimes for days, and we're fishing every day. Goes through the guides, like flawlessly goes through the guides. You could fish lures in it where if you're fishing a knife jig or some sort of lure where you're like popping it, I think the RP knot kind of fails sometimes when you're doing stuff like that where the FG knot doesn't. The downside of the FG knot is if you're learning to tie it, it's kind of difficult to maybe learn.
It's the time of year to practice.
And kind of time consuming. But now that I've tied it a lot, now that I'm very proficient at tying it, I could tie it in no time. It's pretty quick.
What do you use, Matt?
Same. Yeah, FG knot 100% of the time now. I was kind of the same where I'd bounce around with lighter line, but now I'm using FG for everything.
Yeah.
On Captain's Concepts, do you guys have a video on the FG?
We have two different
There's multiple videos
videos
on different types of ways that there's a video on
Yeah,
how
there's
I
a lot
tie
of
it.
different ways to tie it, right?
Yeah, I think there's one me tying it, one Matt tying it, and then one of his crew members,
Yeah,
Fisher, ties
Fisher
it a
ties
different
it.
way. So there's multiple different ways, multiple different videos teaching you how to tie it from different people's perspectives. Yeah.
Okay. Good stuff. Yeah.
That's
You
it.
have a good text?
Yeah, I do. Let me pull the text back up. It says, can you relate the differences in live bait fishing from fishing on the drift, fishing on the anchor, etc.? How would our techniques change? And that was from Bud in San Diego.
Massively different. Definitely different where you're going to be casting out, how you're going to hook your bait sometimes. A lot of times, like where I'm fishing on the anchor at Tanner and Cortez Bank, it's I would say typically the conditions are like the polar opposite from where Matt's fishing. Typically where Matt's fishing on the anchor, you're fishing line, the current's going to be going somewhat off the back of the boat. It might be going directly off the bow. Port or and ideally where I'm fishing, we want the current to be going the opposite. We want the current going somewhat like off the bow, basically, if it's windy. So it's definitely different. I could talk about this for like an hour, but we have videos that are talking about it. It just depends on, when you're drift fishing, typically you're going to be casting off of the back of the boat or the very front of the boat. Those are like the two best spots to be casting your bait if you're drift fishing. And if you're fishing on the anchor, it entirely depends on the current. If there's current, if there's no current, which way the boat's swinging. There's so many factors into it. But again, this is something that we have
you really
a
break down.
lot of videos talking about anchor fishing and where to cast, how to hook your bait, and it's just going to depend on the conditions. If there's a lot of current, you're going to fish a certain way. If there's no current, you're going to wait for the boat to swing a different way, then you're going to cast. If you're fishing for different types, depending on how the fish are acting, you might hook your bait in different spots on the bait. So there's no short answer for this question.
Yeah.
I could talk, like I said, I could talk about this for an hour.
But to Bud, who if he signed up today, he could go back over 4 seasons worth of you talking about those. Like there's probably a half a dozen videos of you talking about that same.
One cool thing about what we've done about the anchor fishing and drift fishing is both of us have little whiteboards that we use. So it lays out the boat and how the conditions are going. You can kind of see everything that's going on. It's kind of more visual than just us talking about it.
Awesome.
So we both have videos on anchor fishing and drift fishing, fly line and baits on whiteboards where you can kind of see exactly what we're talking about.
Wow. And those are just some of the many videos on Captain's.
Correct.
Yeah, and there's like a little search bar where you could just probably type in anchor fishing and different videos. There's going to be a bunch of videos, and you could watch them all, or you could see anchor fishing Coronado Islands. That's what I'm interested in. Or anchor fishing with zero current, which a lot of times where I'm fishing, we fish a lot of times where there's 0 to no current, which can be extremely frustrating. But there's a handful of tricks that can make a big difference, being able for you to get your bait, out away from the boat or down or whatever. There's definitely some tricks, and we dive into that a lot on some of our videos. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, David from CCA California, San Diego chapter is up in the ante on our prize today. He's adding a ticket to this Thursday's Anglers Night Out at Calfino Tequila up at Carlsbad there. So add it into the Seawall Gallery photos and the trip to go fishing with Matt and Captain Ryan on the San Diego. You get to go to ticket this Thursday to Calfino Tequila and the Anglers
Sweet.
Night Out. So that's good.
All right. Hey, with that said, we're going to find out what's going on the water. It's time for our fishdope.com report by the Anglers Realtor. Yusuf Husseini's on the line. And today, that catch report is sponsored by the Fish Pros at Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you get the premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to book your processing for your long-range trips. With more team members, Fisherman's Processing stays far ahead of the rest. More same-day capacity and the finest customer service. Stop by their location in Old Town on Taylor Street or check fishermansprocessing.com and be sure you make your reservations today. Let's find out what's going on the water. Yusuf's on the line. Good morning, Yusuf.
Hey, guys. Good morning. How's it going today?
Great. Good morning.
Morning. All right. We're going to start out up in the Channel Islands area. We do have some reports coming in of some legal size halibut, 8 to 15 pounds in the Chinese Harbour area on the squid beds. These fish are caught drifting live squid in 50 to 65 feet of water. There is also some deep water sand dab fishing up there. Cisco's running straight sand dab trips. Santa Monica Bay is still pretty good for sand bass fishing with a few calicos mixed in. People are getting these on live squid. These are bigger fish too, over 3 pounds, most of them. From there, Palo Verde all the way down to Newport, there is halibut starting to bite off the hard bottom on structure near hard bottom. Sculpin remains excellent at the 150 in the Santa Ana River Pipe. Catalina is the same game as his fin, sea bass and halibut in 5 to 30 foot water. Look for the milky green water has been the ticket. And most of these fish are across the backside between Church Rock to Silver Canyon. That's one of the good zones. Another spot would be Eagle Rock to Cat Harbor and Pedestal Rock over to Sentinel Rock. There still are some 3 to 5 foot bonita on the front side from can dumps to condos. San Clemente, we don't have a ton of reports. There are some guys catching halibut or have caught a few halibut from 10 to 75 feet. On the backside, the calico bass fishing is still really good on crankbaits with bigger bass, 4 to 6 pounds or so. Also, the whitefish have been biting pretty good too in the Northwest Harbor from about 180 feet to 200 feet of water. Dana Point to Oceanside, sculpin are biting well. On Cobblestone Bottom at Fox Canyon, the buck pipe is also seeing a bunch of sculpin action. Del Mar to Imperial Beach, we're still seeing some home guards come in. A buddy of mine got one, I think it was like 45 pounds last week on his low skiff.
Nice.
Big boy. Sand bass and sculpin fishing is starting to go again in IB, just like we used to have it back in the day. The halibut are also starting to show, and the whitefish are also biting good near Point Loma. Keep in mind that there is no sardine available in Mission or San Diego Bay right now. And that's all I got for you guys.
Yeah, what a great report. There's some, it's winter time, but like you say, there's some great biting fish to be had up and down the beach, and that's the beauty of fishdope.com, is staying on top of what it is and where it is, and with no rockfish, still plenty of great options out there. A great report, Yusuf, and if you want to save $30 off of a brand new membership to fishdope.com, use the code Hookup Now, all lowercase, no space, Hookup Now. And what's going on in the real estate game?
It's starting to really pick up. Things are moving. I'm having buyers and sellers both calling me, saying they're ready to go. Getting a few homes ready around town right now, but we should be kicking off a pretty strong season here in the next few weeks.
Awesome.
Sounds good. You hear the sounds of freedom in the background there. Our F-18s are taking off from North Island, which is an eyesight away here from where we're broadcasting. So if you hear that, that's what you're hearing. For sure. Well, hey, how do we get a hold of you if we want to get some real estate and talk fishing?
You can get me on my cell phone at 619-277-2169, or you can get me on social media at Cal Realty. You can also get a free home evaluation at SoCalHomeEval.com, or you can go search homes on my website at sportsmansrealty.com.
Always a great one. Really appreciate everything you do for us. And, every time Yusuf's on the show, it always blows me away how many people Let's Talk Hookup listeners have been helped by him. It's certainly our go-to man. Appreciate a great report as always, buddy. We'll talk to you next week.
Take care, guys. Thanks.
All right, appreciate that. It's going to wrap up our catch report. Again, sponsored by Norrisk Lithium Batteries. They're here in Southern California, designed specifically for marine use. Norrisk Lithium features prismatic cells for extreme durability, solid connections, longevity, and reliability. The Norrisk Guardian Advanced Battery Management System allows you to monitor the health and charging status by using an app on your phone. Norrisk also makes a complete line of kayak and electric reel batteries. Make an investment in the very best for your boat with Norrisk Lithium. Check norrisklithium.com or go see the Trolling Motor Doctor or Anglers Marine, both at Anaheim and in Lakeside, for your Norrisk Lithium batteries. When we come back, we got a lot more Let's Talk Hookup coming your way. More of your phone calls and more great info with the boys from Captain's Concepts. You're listening to Let's Talk Hookup, Southern California sport fishing voice, on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube, and Facebook Live, and 97.3 The Fan.
All of us at the American Angler family want to express appreciation to our regular passengers that fish with us year after year, and to the new anglers that came out this last season. We realize how precious your vacation time is, and we are truly grateful that you have chosen to spend this time with us. It's important that your experience is memorable, from the moment you call the office to the time you step off the boat. Hi, I'm Lori. Call me at the office, 619-223-5414, or check us out at AmericanAnglerSportFishing.com. Come fishing with the American Angler family and make a memory.
Long range fishing, nothing beats Shimano. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. Come check out the Shimano Talica, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. The Talica features Shimano's Hagani body when throwing jigs. The Shimano Trinidad is your top choice. With the extreme cranking power, and Shimano's Super Free Spool provides extreme castability. You'll be able to put your jig in the Wahoo zone. For all your Shimano needs, visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego. The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet. Fisherman's Landing offers half-day trips on the Dolphin and full-day trips on the Liberty. Many trips can be easily booked online at fishermanslanding.com. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
I've had the opportunity to fish many places in many different types of water, but never have I fished a place as much fun as Katmai Lodge in Alaska. Hello, my name is Harold Davis, typically fishing in the ocean, but this is an experience that you have to try for yourself. Fish natural rivers with tens of thousands of fish coming up. And they have all the gear: spinning, bait casting, fly rods, kings, silvers, pinks, sockeyes, and my favorite, the chums. Outstanding food, outstanding accommodations, great service. The lodge is located in the beautiful Katmai National Park, filled with amazing wildlife. brown bears, moose, eagles, otters, and it has spectacular scenery. And also the fact that the lodge is located right on the Alagnac River and your boat is just steps away from your room makes it great. Do yourself a favor. Call Charmel at 1-800-330-0326 or go online, capmy.com. And like Pete says, they will hook you up.
Hey, San Diego, the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event is going on now at your San Diego County Ford dealers. The biggest deals of the year to finish 2024, featuring America's best-selling truck, Ford F-Series, leading for 47 straight years. Or check out the full lineup of versatile Ford SUVs, including Bronco or Bronco Sport. Don't wait. Come take a test drive today. Get holiday ready only at your local San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Having a great time here this morning with the boys from Captain's Concepts, talking about this great fishing that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Or getting ready to be going on right now, and that
Yeah.
great long-range fishing that is happening right now, boys. Some excellent stuff to be had. And like you say, this is the time of year where you can get tuned up. Heard some great fishdope.com report up and down the beach. Plenty going on right now.
Yeah, I want to remind you next Saturday and Sunday on Let's Talk Hookup. Next Saturday, Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle is going to be here talking tackle and all the good toys that we've been talking about this morning.
Yeah.
And all the intricate design. And then next Sunday, Captain Cameron Kirvin is here from the Mission Bell. Now, Cameron's been running with Mike Lackey on the Vagabond for years. He's a commercial lobster fisherman, just a great guy, and just purchased the Mission Bell. And I think that's going to be his first time on Let's Talk Hookup, right?
I think he's come with Mike before. Yeah. But it'll be first time as owner of the Mission Bell. Yeah, it'll be fun.
And we wish him luck on that. He's a super good guy. It's going to be a great opportunity.
He's all right.
I never heard of him.
He's going to be fishing right next to you at the Coronado Islands. You kidding
we
me?
know him as Shrimp, not
Shrimp.
Cameron.
and I guess it's kind of a legacy that he's taken over there, right? On the Mission Bell, right?
It's gonna be different without Steve there.
Yeah, Steve's just kind of retiring.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff on his hands that he needs to deal with. So
yeah.
And
how long was he on the Mission Bell for? How long do you own the Mission Bell?
I mean, a long time. I don't know.
Since time started, I don't know.
As long as I've been around.
I remember fishing with Joel Ralston on the Mission Bell out of Seaforth before. So it's been probably 30 years or 25 years.
Boog had the bell before the Mission Bell, right?
Yeah. He had them both at the same time too.
Yeah.
Is that who sold it to?
Yeah, that's who sold it to Steve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Boogered it?
Yep.
But that had to be 15, 20 years though, right?
I know.
At least.
He bought the San Diego in 2005, and he had both of those boats at the same time. Okay. So,
around that time.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah. So, hey, if you want to get through, 833-288-0973. We always say it, you want to win the prize. Phone calls are the best way to do it because we get tons of texts and we can't only get to so many here. But I have a great text here from Jake in Point Loma. He says, hey, Rick, Pete, Gavin, and Matt. I really enjoy hearing about fishing in San Diego. I was wondering what's the captain's favorite fly line setups for targeting those 20 to 40 pound fish and how they typically rig it. So on an overnight,
we're gonna say that, I bet you will say the same thing. I'm gonna say Talica 10 with 30 or 40 pound Spectra on a CalStar 800M.
Talica 10, 30, 40 pound Spectra.
That's Gucci, boy.
Yeah, I'd say that's I mean, I had that rod in my hand this year.
Which
more
rod
than CalStar 800M.
800M.
Yeah.
Love that rod.
Yeah, and
that's a graphite, right?
Yeah. That and the Talica 10. Yeah, like 30 or 40 pound.
10, you can catch big fish on.
Oh yeah, we've caught 100-something pounders on it. Yeah. But for a rod that you're going to be fishing all day, I mean, I use that rod more than any other thing that I had on the boat for this year by far.
Yeah.
You'll probably say the same.
What about you?
I have the exact same setup, but I also fish a different one. I have the one that was in my hands probably more than anything this year was I have a Fathom 15 narrow or Fathom, or the torque would be good. And there's a Seeker, it's a TAC 80. And that was just like 30 pound Spectra, 15 to 25 feet of 30 pound fluorocarbon, and a size whatever Gamakatsu Nautilus lived in my hands this past season.
I love that.
Yeah, that's a good reel too. I like that one. The narrow is nice. The regular 15, the wider one, the spool's a little smaller and it's a little slower. But that narrow one, the spool's a little taller. I like that one.
The thing I like so much about that Talica outfit that you were talking about, especially for the type of year that we've been having, is this was a year when your first fly line bait fish could be a 20-pounder, and then standing at the rail in the very next cast, it could be a 75-pounder. And having that little Talica 2-speed, like if you hooked the wrong fish on that size gear, you're still very much in the play. Like you weren't, you know, it wasn't like a real small star drag reel where you're really gonna have to work for it. Like you just turn the handle and
you catch them.
You know, they come.
Yeah. And the cool thing of those two reels, the free spool is like, that's what I'm looking for. The biggest thing is the free spool, because I want my bait to swim, you know, faster than anyone else is on the boat. And the free spool on those two reels is incredible.
So good.
All right. Hey, let's jump back in the phones.
You got it. How about this time we talk to Hills? He's calling us from Ventura this morning. Good morning, Hills. Welcome to Let's Talk Hookup.
Hey, good morning, guys. What a great show. I had a couple questions. Are you going to have the two fish jigs at the PCS show is one. Another one is on the Bralla rig. Are you hooking up underneath all the way up from underneath the chin? And then for Gavin, out like at Cortez and Tanner Bank, is anybody tying a little balloon on their line to float it downwind to get the bait away from the boat?
As far as two fish jigs, Fisherman's Landing will have a huge selection this year with
we're running Bodan ragged.
Oh yeah,
we are going to have.
I just spent a
so
couple
many
hours
lures
at his house welding up some jigs. You're going to have some stuff that I've been working on too, and a new jig for this year, the Jumbo J, which we just got our hands on the first batch, and I did some swimming with it the other day, and we like it.
Hey,
yeah, so
right.
it's going to be good. And as far as the Bralla rig, yes, we go up through the lower jaw, up through the tip of the nose. We've been using that. That's the way to go for bluefin. And this year I was using it for yellowtail, and that was working really well. Yeah.
For the Tanner and Cortez, I know exactly what you're talking about for those examples when there's little to no current to still be able to get your bait out away from the boat. I've done it in the past, and we've had success with it. I would say not a lot of success. There's definitely some other tricks to get your bait to swim away from the boat. May not necessarily get your bait to swim away from the boat, but you can get your bait to swim down, which is still, you know, getting distance between the boat and your bait. And a lot of times this year when there was
almost better.
Yeah, a lot of times this year I'd say when there was no current, you know, looking around the boat, you're not seeing the fish boiling around, you know, you're there, but I'm still seeing them on the machine. So kind of when currents slack, the fish aren't as aggressive. They're not, you know, they may not be at the very top of the water column boiling around. They might be a little bit deeper in the water column. So getting your bait to swim down, even when you're anchor fishing, when you're only in 150 feet of water, getting your bait to swim down, a lot of times this year was more important than getting your bait to swim out. So rather than tying the balloon on and getting your bait close to the surface and away from the boat, it was best to, there's a couple different ways you can hook your bait to get it to swim straight down, which you're still getting your bait away from the boat. It's not out on the surface, but it's going down. And that was really deadly a lot of times.
That's
good
cool.
info.
Good, really good info.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the stuff you get on Captain's Concept.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That kind of inside dope.
Yeah, me and Matt have both made multiple videos about how to get your bait to swim down, or you know, when it's good to get your bait to swim down versus out, or different conditions, you know, versus the guy that's tying his balloon on to get the wind to pull his bait away from the boat. There's other tricks that are quicker and better than that we talk about a lot.
Yeah.
And you're not the guy that tangles everybody up.
Well, the thing is, you can't have 25 people doing that, you know what I mean? But you can have 25 people doing hooking your bait certain ways to get it to swim down away from the boat. You can't have the whole boat doing that. You can't have the whole boat tying a small balloon on. And that takes a long time to get your bait away from the boat that way.
Yeah.
A long time.
Yeah, for sure. Captain's Concepts, I mean, it's not, let's face it, it's not cheap to go on a sport boat anymore. It's not a cheap deal. So what you guys do is maximize your opportunity when you're on the boat. And what's it cost for a membership to Captain's Concept?
It's $25 for the month. So
for the whole month.
For the whole month, yeah. So less than a
a
spool of fluorocarbon. You know, it's less than a spool of fluorocarbon. It'll help you save money because you're not going to buy tackle that you might not necessarily need. And rather than you spend fishing is very expensive. We know that bluefin fishing is one of the most expensive fishing that you can do. So $25 a month to go out on your trip and possibly catch double what you would have caught, I think is a very small price to pay for the knowledge of what you're going to get.
To be the best prepared. And again, you don't need to sell me on it for sure. It's the best thing that it's so up to date. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing about it is you guys are constantly making videos all the time. And the second that you see something that happened on the deck of the boat that day, on the drive in or before the trip turns around, there's a video talking about it. And I mean, the staying ahead of the curve, I think, is what you guys offer more than anything else.
Yeah, and a big thing I think a lot of our guys like is being able to message us and ask us questions. You know what I mean? Whether it's about buying tackle or what rods to bring, or hey, I'm thinking about this or that. Being able to ask guys that are on the water 200 days out of the year a question, whether it's a small question or a big question, is I think it's worth it right then and there.
And Matt, you were even talking about maybe having some cameo appearances on in the kind of the off season when it's hard to get some people. Like if there might be some particular expert in a field, you might have some people come in to help address that, make videos, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of stuff that like we don't get to do, like long range fishing. We might get some long range captains if our subscribers are interested in that. I'm good friends with a guy named Danny Wade, if you guys know him.
Who?
Danny. Some small guy. Some small guy who likes to fish lures.
Little guy.
That you're actually going to be on the show here in like 3 weeks with like a whole team of guys, right?
Myself, Danny, and Brian Castleton from New Seafood. They're going to come in and talk about surface iron fishing. But in the near future, I've got Danny to agree to sit down and talk surface lures with me strictly for Captain's Concept. So it's probably going to be a really long one. We haven't decided on what to do, but it's going to be in depth on whatever we want to talk about. And if you guys have questions for Danny, you could definitely message us that on Captain's Concept.
If you're a member, you can message.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Send us something, and when we get that video going, I'll ask him anything you want to know.
And you'll get to see that one way, and it's by being a member of Captain's
Exactly.
Concept.
There's no other way to see the videos that we post, but on Captain's Concept.
That's cool.
Dig it,
You have a
man.
good text.
I thought so. Let me pull her back up here. It says, good morning, guys. I always learn something new every year from your seminars at PCS and Day at the Docks. It's what drove me to become a member of Captain's Concept. My question is, have you guys ever thought about doing any video focused on fishing travel, such as Alaska, Baja, Cedros, Panama, Brazil, etc.? I know both of you guys like to venture out. That's from Ted in San Diego.
I've actually done a video on Sea Cortez fishing, Cabria specifically, and that was like I think 30-minute video or something like that on exactly what I like to fish when we're doing that kind of fishing. But yeah, if you guys have questions about any kind of traveling spot, I've been to Colombia once, I've been to Panama once, Baja, going to be going more and more. That place is awesome.
You like that LA Bay, Gonzaga?
Yeah, LA Bay.
So,
It's just,
you like that too, right?
Oh yeah.
That Cabria,
who doesn't, right?
That Cabria
When you go
fishing
down
is
there, who
just
doesn't?
like the best thing ever.
If you like fishing lures and you get there like at the right time, or when it's good, it's probably my favorite type of fishing that I've done.
That's the perfect fishing.
Pretty
That's
cool.
saying something.
Well, hey,
That's pretty
Captain
cool.
Mike Pritchard from the Tributes on Hold. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, good morning, guys. I don't know about Colombia, but we've been to Colonette lately.
Yeah, that's
it's almost,
cool.
It's almost the same thing.
Yeah, and are they biting?
Yeah, similar-ish. The boat got in this morning. I'm still a little fresh out of knee surgery, so I wasn't on the boat. But Captain Jason Zener ran the trip for us. They had excellent fishing, great weather, really good lingcod fishing to go with it. They ended up with 35 lingcod.
Jeez.
Limits of reds, filled out everything else with rockfish and whitefish. He said he saw a little bit of yellowtail down there, but water's still a little bit on the cool side. I guess they weren't cooperative, but for the weather and the lingcod and red fishing, it was sounded exceptional.
That's awesome news to hear. And like you say, that's the beauty of Colonette is like that's what your goal. That's the goal of being down there, is that killer red fishing, and everything else comes as a bonus. Great to hear that it's back up and running, Mike.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, you get a lot of guys asking about yellowtail. And I mean, yellowtail are a perk down there. When they bite down there, they usually bite really well, and they're usually good ones. But where else can you go right now and keep 5 reds and 5 lingcod?
Got it. Yeah, boy, that's some good. We'll take that for sure, especially this time. That's awesome news. Well, glad to hear that the boat's down there and having such great fishing.
Yeah, we're out again next weekend. The boats are the trip's already a go. I think we got 10 or 11 people each of the weekend trips right now are sponsored by Pizza Port, which just always adds to it with free pizza the night of the trip and then discount on that exceptional beer. But really nice to get down there. We are the only boat. There might be some more yellowtail. There might be a little bit of bluefin offshore, but until we do, a little bit of leg work or until we get down there with a couple other boats, it's going to be hard to tell. But for what they did, and the great of the lingcod, the great of the reds, I mean, our red fishing up here this year before the closure, it was, we had some really good red fishing, but it's, you get one good drop in and, your 2 fish limit was done. So being able to go down there and, pick up 5 of those big old delicious redfish and catch some lingcod with it was a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
And something interesting, there was absolutely no sardines at the bait receiver, and there's no sardines in San Diego. So to be able to do that on the jigs and on anchovy was exceptional, and kind of makes you wonder what's coming up.
I might mention too, Mike, that last week on Let's Talk Hookup, there was some mention when we had Captain Clowers on that there was, some question of whether you can keep a 5 fish limit of reds in Mexico. And yes, you can. I talked to Eric Cord, who's the deputy director of the Department of Fish and Wildlife. He said, yes, indeed. As long as you have your declaration of entry filled out for each person on the boat, you can keep Mexican limits of reds in California when you cross back in.
Yep. Well, I've been through several of those meetings before where we were meeting with Fish and Game, and Fish and Game was saying that no, you cannot possess, a limit in California that's not allowed, but at the same time, you can bring grouper back, you can bring a 5 fish limit of white sea bass back. So I know there's been a lot of give and take on that one, or a lot of discrepancy over the years, but on these trips, yes, if the limit on reds and the limit on lingcod is 5 in Mexico, and you have your Mexican fishing license, then that is the law. And as long as that doesn't change.
Yeah, for sure. Well, if somebody wants to jump on a trip, are you going to be running Colonet trips here coming up here on the Tribute out of Seaforth?
Friday nights ago, the following weekend's already a go. We love these trips. Our people love them. I didn't know it was going to fill up. This last trip was full, and I think we lost a few people unfortunately, due to the fires up in LA, which is, we're all hurting on that one.
Yeah.
And we wish them the best. But yes, Friday nights ago, the following weekends ago, this first trip filled up in about a week and a half. So there's
demand
right now, and I love them.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, hey, if somebody wants it, by the way, how's the knee coming along?
It was probably the most miserable couple of weeks of my life.
But you're getting better.
It's coming along great mobility wise, but if you can't lay on your back all night and not move, that becomes quite the issue.
Yeah, that's not fun for sure. Well, glad you're getting better. And
you don't sleep on a boat. You definitely don't sleep after knee surgery.
Yeah. Well, glad you're getting better, Mike. And if somebody wants to jump aboard the Tribute, grab those Colonet trip, how do we do it?
Seaforth Landing, 619-224-3383. SeaforthLanding.com, TributeSportFishing.com. And I got some pictures up. I'm trying to get more for the crew, but you can see the lingcod, the weather, the Chef Kyle's surf and turf dinner last night. The guys got in this morning, and it sounds like everybody had a blast. A nice way to get away at this time of year. Go make the best of a weekend.
All right, I like it. Well, great job as always, Mike. Appreciate it very much, and hopefully, you guys have another great trip. And we'll hear from the next one. Appreciate it, and we'll talk to you after the next one. Appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks Mike.
All right, had a great text message come through. Says, guys, what a great show. It's no secret I'm a huge fan of both of these guys and Captain's Concepts. I can't wait to fish with both of them this upcoming season. My question is for Gavin. You always keep the Queen in such perfect tip-top shape. Can you share what you have going on for boat work this season? What's the year's big project? See you guys soon, Corey and Escondido.
Oh, what's up, Corey? This year we're putting brand new engines in. So
whoa,
yeah, we already have the old engines out. New engines are in. Not complete yet. We still got to hook everything up and do that. But brand new main engines. We are rebuilding both of our gearboxes. Aside from that, just this last week we completely gutted the heads. So we're just going to redo, make the heads, back to looking brand new and nice again.
Some major work going on
here. Every year it's something.
Dude,
yeah.
You guys.
Yeah, last year we added 2 fish holds that also hold bait, so we doubled our fish capacity last year, doubled our bait capacity, brand new bait tank. That was all last year. Now this year, 2 brand new engines, rebuild our gearboxes. We're gonna put a light tree on the bait tank. I know on our boat the back deck area can be pretty dark, so we're gonna put a light tree up so that way we have a lot more light on the back deck for nighttime fishing. Like I said, redoing the heads. Aside from that, the engines is a massively costly project. So aside from that, we're just going to do small stuff, a lot of preventative maintenance to make sure the boat's ready for next year. A lot of small, on top of the main thing is the engines and the heads. Aside from that, it's just a lot of small things to make sure the boat runs, smoothly all for this upcoming season.
When do you anticipate starting to run again?
We don't have our first trip online until April 1st. We're hoping to have everything wrapped up boat work wise mid-February. We just don't know. A lot of this, getting parts and stuff is still kind of an issue sometimes. So we don't have trips online until beginning of April. But once we're done with all of our maintenance, we'll kind of see what's going on. Once this engine project is done, if there's still no fish around, then we'll still tinker on the boat for a little while, make sure everything's ready to go. But we're hoping to be ready by, we'll be ready by March 1st. If there's fish around, then we'll be putting trips online for March as well.
Well, beginning of March, you guys will be up in Orange County at the PCS show.
Unless there's some bluefin around, then, then we won't be.
And then you'll have somebody subbing for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
I like, hey, when we come back, we're going to find out who's going fishing on board the San Diego and getting one of those great prints from Seawald Imaging USA Fortune. Or Let's Talk Hookup coming your way on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube and Facebook Live, and 97.3 The Fan.
Years ago, I visited this amazing place called Hawaii Archipelago. I just could not get enough of this amazing islands. Natural beauty, friendly people, and phenomenal fishing. I knew I needed to spend more time there. Moving forward to today, here I am, a fishing lodge owner. Hi, this is Valerie Hopridge from Queen Charlotte Safaris in beautiful Hawaii Islands, British Columbia, Canada. We're a boutique lodge just steps from the Sanskrit Harbour, offering truly a unique fishing adventure. Our fishing is world-class. You will fish for king salmon, halibut, lingcod, crabbing, and much more. Our fishing grounds are unspoiled, untouched, and surrounded by stunning scenery. We're dedicated to making your adventure an experience that will bring a lifetime of memories. We will welcome you as friends, and you will leave as part of our Queen Charlotte Safaris family. We are booking now. Please give me a call at 1-877-815-2892 or check us out on Instagram, Facebook, or visit our website, qcsafaris.com.
This is Bob Hoots at Costa Sunglasses. Visual signs are a critical part of my fishing program, from bay bass to bluefin. I wear Costas to see what's out there. Costas are built with advanced polarization technology with our 580 lens, designed to cut through the sun's glare while providing enhanced color to see more fish. Costa was founded by a group of anglers wanting a high-performance lens for every fishing application. Costa has a West Coast style frame and lens for your adventures. CostaSunglasses.com.
Get ready for the most exciting outdoor show of the year, the giant 15th annual Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Tackle Boat and Travel Show, March 6th to the 9th at the OC Fair and Event Center in Costa Mesa. Check out hundreds of sport fishing exhibitors, manufacturers, tackle dealers, fishing boats, and fishing resorts taking up all 7 halls at the fairgrounds. 217,000 square feet, plus fantastic seminars and free kids trout pond. Backed by popular demand, the PCS show also has freshwater to cover bass and trout. Learn from some of the top names in the sport fishing industry, from catching giant bluefin, swordfish, calico bass, and more. Take advantage of incredible show specials from major tackle retailers and boat dealers. Talk to the top fishing travel destinations. 4 full days, Thursday, March 6th to Sunday, March 9th. The 15th annual Pacific Coast Sport Fishing Tackle, Boat, and Travel Show at the OC Fair and Event Center in Costa Mesa. Don't miss it.
I believe there is no doubt that the finest sport fishing in the world starts right here in San Diego. This is Captain Frank Lopresti. Our fleet of long-range boats and crew are unmatched, and the Royal Polaris and Shogun are right at the top of the list. Captain Jonathan Yamati and his crew aboard the Royal Polaris are considered to be the finest long-range vessel in the world. From summer bluefin, yellowtail, and wahoo to giant yellowfin tuna, our record is unmatched. The Shogun, under the direction of Captain Rene Monteagudo, has become one of the most popular long-range boats in the fleet. This big, wide, solid riding vessel has gained a reputation for catching fish and treating their customers to an epic vacation on the water. I am so proud of Jonathan, Rene, and the crews on both the Royal Polaris and Shogun, as they have helped me keep the reputation of the premier vessels in the long-range fleet. Come see for yourself. Book a trip on the Royal Polaris or Shogun today. Check RoyalPolarisSportFishing.com or ShogunSportFishing.com, or call Monica or Jen in the office at 619-226-8033. 830.
The lighter the bite and the cleaner the water means one thing. Need a thinner leader, more natural presentations. That's where Seaguar Gold Label leader material shines. It's Seaguar's thinnest leader material yet. That means it's even less visible underwater and creates more natural presentations for better catch rates on leader-shy fish. With exceptional knot and tinsel strength, this advanced leader material is now available from 2-pound test for fishing trout in the Sierra to 80-pound test for big yellowfin in Guadalupe. Get Seaguar Gold Label at your favorite tackle dealer or learn more at seaguar.com.
Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Okay, it's time to find out the big winner going fishing on board the San Diego and also getting that awesome gift certificate to the Michael Seawald, seawald.com. Amazing images. We're going to find out flipping the coin. Gavin's going to do us the honors. Today we have a texter. Congratulations, Bud in San Diego. You have got yourself all that greatness, the trip. And again, don't forget that little CCA bonus there. You're going to go fishing with Bralla and taste some tequila with CCA and have that great image from Seawald.
All right, guys, how do we get a hold of Captain's Concepts?
Again, a couple different ways. You could just Google Captain's Concepts and you'll see a link on Patreon. We're the first one that pops up. Also, you could check us out on social media. We have Instagram, Captain's Concepts. We have a link to our website on our Instagram profile as well.
Nice. All right. And of course, you're going to be on the San Diego a lot, I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
when you start running, probably start running when
March is what we're shooting for,
and then you'll be on the Pacific Queen starting probably beginning April.
Yeah, our first trip right now is beginning April. If there's fish before that, we'll be online as well.
All right, Stu pretty much chained to those boats all summer long. It's not hard to find them.
Hey, thanks to Jeff hanging out in the fan studio there. Appreciate that. And thanks to all of you out there. Thanks to Adam for all he does on Let's Talk Hookup. Next Saturday, Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle. Next Sunday, Captain Cameron Kibben from the Mission Bell. Thanks for listening today. We'll see you next week right back here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, YouTube, Facebook Live, and 97.3 The Fan.
KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is your Lars from the San Diego Padres.
You can hear the